What's going on? What's going on, Film Fam? Welcome to another episode of Let the Film Speak. I am one of your hosts, Chop. Here's my main man, Willie Jack. Willie Jack, how you feeling, my dog?
Hey man, it's Wednesday, man. Feeling good, feeling great, man. I'm in here talking ball with my dog, man. So can't nothing go wrong for me right now.
That's right, man. And hey, we got a good one for y'all today, man. We got a good show for y'all today. We in my territory. We in my neck of the woods, man. We talking top 10 cornerbacks going into the 2023 season, man. Top 10 cornerbacks. We're gonna rank them for y'all. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna tell y'all why. We're gonna give you all the information necessary, so that you understand, man, who gonna be out there getting routed up, and who gonna be the guys that's maybe miss this list, man. Maybe not fall on this. So, man, definitely gonna be a great show for y'all. Go ahead, if you're in the chat right now, go ahead and check in with your boys, tap in, let us know who in here right now. You know what I'm saying? But first and foremost, we got house rules, man. We got house rules, and they're the same as always. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Become the newest member of the Film Fam. We truly appreciate each and every one of y'all that come check us out. You know what I'm saying? I hope y'all continue to come check us out, talk to us. As my dog Willie Jack says, we love to talk back.
Hey, we talk back, man.
That's right. That's right. Every time. You know what I'm saying? No, without missing a beat. So definitely check in with us. But also hit that notification bell, man. How else are you going to know when me and Willie Jack got something coming up? When we got something cooking in the kitchen? You know what I'm saying? When we putting together another meal for y'all, a brain meal for y'all when it comes to this NFL stuff. So, man, definitely hit the notification bell. Of course, we want all y'all to be involved and to know what's going on. And I guarantee you, we will not let you down. All right, Willie Jack, it's time to jump into some news, man. Let's go ahead and jump right into it, man. The latest news and biggest news, of course, over the last week. Former Minnesota Vikings running back, man, Dalvin Cook was released from the Minnesota Vikings, man, this past week. The Vikings, of course, didn't want to pay him that $14 million they were going to owe him this year, so they decided to go ahead and cut him, which is a $2 million cap hit, versus like they said, paying him that $14 million a year. And he's a free agent, man. He's a free agent, and his options are open, man. Options are open. I'm pretty sure there's some teams out there that would love a guy like him. Willie Jack, what's your take on this one, man?
Yeah, man. So there was I guess rumblings, or there was a little smoke about this maybe being a cap casualty in this way because of just like my dog just said, $2 million to cut him, 14 to keep him. And especially at a position as devalued across the league as running back is, that math tends to kind of do itself. And so they, from what I've seen or read a little bit, they had maybe he just was not going to restructure or take some type of pay cut. And so they didn't even really get far in the talks as far as even, what a restructured contract would look like, that sort of thing. And so I think his cap number for this year was like 14, but I think his actual pay was just over 10 or like 10.8, something like that. And this is the thing about it. In the grand scheme, it's not that much money we're always speaking relative when we talk about 8-figure numbers, and when we talk like this, it's all relative. But relative to who and what he is as a player, a leader in his position group, and as like a bona fide, he's a star running back. A guy that's been, even though he's been injured. This is the thing about Dalvin Cook, and I love that. I love Mr. Dalvin Cook. Chop will tell y'all that.
Right.
He has been injured and banged up and nicked up. He still has 4 1,100-yard seasons consecutive these last 4 years. And honestly, I was surprised when I saw that stat, because in my mind, he's a guy that it feels like he misses 2 or 3 games a year, with some type of like I said, some type of bump or bruise or something that kind of sidelines a little bit. But in the grand scheme, it hasn't hindered his production. He's still been a consistently very productive player in this league. And like I was talking to my dog Chop, it feels like he's quite a bit. He's 27. He's still in the heart of his athletic prime. Or well, maybe not the heart, but it's a very fine line, especially at running back. I mean, they drop you right off a cliff. It used to be like 31, then they got to 30. Now it's 29, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like 29 these days. You know what I'm saying? So the shelf life on running backs is getting shorter and shorter, man. But this is a guy who's 27. He still should have a good 2-3 left in him before he gets to that magical, or not magical, before he gets to that, I guess, that forbidden 30 number. You know what I mean? And like I said, a guy who's been more than productive in his time in this league, man. So can't wait to see where he lands. I know there was talks about Miami. But it looks like, at least at this time, that's not going forward because they're trying to. I mean, they're bargain shopping. Everybody's bargain shopping when it comes to running back. And his message so far has been like, man, look, I'm not showing up nowhere for four string money. You know, I'm not showing up for $3 million. And now,
Absolutely.
talk relative. I'll show up, Miami, if you need me. You know what I'm saying, for $4 million. But he's not doing it, man. He's a guy. He feels like he knows his value, knows his worth, and I can't argue with him, man. Especially, he's not even, from what I've seen, he's not necessarily asking for top of the market money. I think Christian McCaffrey, my dog C Mac, he's still the top guy from the contract he signed a few years ago. He's somewhere around, and I don't even know specifically. Let's say if he's at $15 million, probably closer to 16 mil, right? 16 and change. Excuse me, 16 and change. And he was slated to make 10 and change, or let's say 11. I think he's still wanting to be somewhere in that $10 million range.
Yeah.
And then going back to what I was saying before, when we look at this in the grand scheme, $10 million is the price of a lot of, there's your second receiver. Your second receiver might be worth $10 million. You know what I mean? Borderline 3 receiver, depending on, you know what I mean? So, I mean,
it depends on who you're talking about.
It
You know
really
what I'm saying?
depends, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Some teams got $20 million number 2 receivers.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so, if you're a running back, man, and a guy like Dalvin Cook, like, man, I'm not coming here to start, for one, to play at a Pro Bowl level, which is what I've shown and proven that I can do consistently, and to be a guy who's gonna, when it's all said and done, I'm gonna be somewhere around the top 5 in yardage. I'm gonna be somewhere around the top 5 probably in total touches, because he's a guy that receives the ball well as well. And I'm also gonna be a guy that's gonna play on all 3 downs. You know what I mean? And so he still has value. He's came out and said, man, he ain't got no problem sitting and waiting until the right opportunity comes. Not just any opportunity, but the right opportunity, as he should, man. And so on this platform, for sure, you guys already know, we want them players paid. It's a player first podcast. We want every player paid. I supported Le'Veon when he said he wasn't signing for what Pittsburgh wanted to get him. And I loved Le'Veon. The Steelers is my team. But, hey, man, don't compromise. If you feel like you're not getting what you value for, then I want you to go get what you value for, bro. Now, if it works out or not, that's another thing. But go get what you feel you worth. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what Le'Veon did, for better or for worse. That's what Dalvin Cook is doing right now. I hope it works out. You know what I'm saying? I hope it works out better for him than it did for Le'Veon. Le'Veon cashed his bag. He left to go get that bag, and he got that. But what it did to his career in the long run and his legacy, etc., maybe he would make a different choice now. But regardless of all that, man, Dalvin feels like he's worth $10 million a year, and I think he is as well. There's no reason I don't think he should be getting paid $10 million somewhere.
For sure. And he is. That's what it is. What he's asking for. That was going to be the next thing I was going to say. He is asking for 10. Mm-hmm. I think he may even sign with somebody for around like 7 or 8. You know what I'm saying? 7 or 8 million. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 1 year deal, 2 year. I don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities that I thought about. But here's one thing when you were talking, Willie Jack, and actually I thought about this last week. You know, when I was talking about him, and of course him feeling like he's been injury prone or nicked up a little bit. Mm-hmm. The one person I kind of can compare him to, it's a different position, but Julio Jones, man. If you think about it, Julio Jones, when you think about Julio Jones, a lot of people feel like Julio Jones, he's always injured. He's this, he's that. Julio Jones, through the time period where people were saying, man, he's always injured for some reason or another, the man racked up, a 6-year run, that was awesome. A great 6-year run where he had at least 1,400 yards each and every year. And he was racking up yardage. That's one thing that Julio Jones could do, was rack up yardage. Now, of course, towards the end of his year, like the last 3 years, those are really injury prone. But like, he was nicked and banged up in a similar way that Dalvin Cook was during that time period, and still had their production, which is the reason why I kind of compare both of them, because when we think about Dalvin Cook, was like, man, he's always nicked up, but he's still producing. Nicked up, but he's still producing, and he's still able to do that. So that's one player in another position that I kind of think about, when it comes to
no, and I don't mind that,
and his production, his overall production when it comes to it. So, if I had to compare it to any other situation, that would be the situation that I would compare it to.
No, and you know what? And that's not terrible at all, man. It's really not. I don't know if Dalvin has reached as high at the like he's a guy that's
now that I can agree with.
I don't think he reached as high as a running back as Julio got as a receiver. But as far as what you're saying though, productive, that's always kind of feels to be spend a little time in the tub. Like I think that's spot on, man. And that's not a bad. I don't think it's bad comparison because of that. Oh, now here's another thing I was going to mention as well, man. Why this is also a bigger deal is because like we've seen these grumblings, from the running back position. Are we seeing these things come up, man? Especially like over these last, let's say 5-6 years, especially right around that time of Le'Veon, Ty Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott. You know what I mean? So those three guys all got three paydays, and I don't know of those three which one we'll say panned out because Zeke went through his own issues and got banged up, got a little out of shape, etc., and wasn't the player pre big bag that he or post big bag as he was pre big bag. And then same thing with Ty Gurley, his knees gave out right after he cashed his check. And then with Le'Veon, honestly, he got that bag and put himself in a situation that was he set himself up for failure with that Jets team, who was just a terrible team, a bottom 2 or 3 team in the league. And yeah, they had that money to cash you out, but there was nothing there to really be. There was nothing there that helped him they helped him continue the line of success that he had been on previously in Pittsburgh. And so those guys being the guys that kind of set that table. And then I guess we've got Christian McCaffrey, who maybe is the last of that bunch who cashed his check as well. And then the same thing, though. He spent a year and a half or so a little beat up, a little injured after getting his big deal. And then, of course, he came back this last year and had a very successful second half of the season once he got to the Niners and had the usage that he needed. But it's, I guess the general rule of thumb more so for ownership is probably like, man, what happens when we pay running backs? Like those are the four guys we just listed are probably 4 of the top 6 backs over the last 6 years or so. Chop. The only guy we didn't list that's a top back is Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. And so outside of those two, those would probably be the other. What's that? I named 4 guys, 5 guys. So unless I'm missing somebody, let me know if I missed somebody. But I think those are all those top backs over this last 5-6 years, if I'm not mistaken, right? You know what I'm saying? So
they're definitely in the conversation. I get what you're going. I get where you're going. Even if you did miss somebody, we get the gist.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So if we look at it that way, then only 2 of those guys are with their same team that paid them. And Derrick Henry, when he got signed, he didn't. The money was already kind of sour for running backs. So even when Derrick Henry re-signed for a team like the Titans, which is ran exclusively through him and on his shoulders or on his legs, he still only signed for $12 million a year. You know what I'm saying? Like he signed for 10 or 12 at the height of his perceived leverage in the league. I think he was either fresh off a 2,000-yard season or maybe this was his second 1,800-yard season, the season before he got that 2,000. But it was right there in the heart of his run that he's had, that he's kind of maybe coming off that run now. You know what I'm saying? And so he only signs for 12. And I say only because we're speaking relative. But if he was a receiver, if he was a quarterback, if he was a defensive end, a corner, or any other position, it was his turn to set the market. He's got the time. He's got the player. He's the right player with the right prestige and the right amount of skill and talent and accolades. You know what I mean? So he checks all those boxes that a guy needs to check to set the market. And he comes in several million under market, 12 million, when the guy who was probably most paid at that time was probably Ezekiel Elliott at 15. You know what I mean? And so he comes in 3 million under that. You know what I mean? And so there's been a big difference. It's especially relevant even for a guy like Saquon, Chop Style, who's supremely talented. He's holding out of Giants money cap now because they signed him to the franchise tag. The franchise tag is only $10 million. That same $10 million that Dalvin Cook's trying to get, that $10 million number for running backs, which is looked at as good money, but it's looked at as good money because they're not paying any of them. But in the grand scheme of talent, skill, ability, and I guess or talent, skill, and ability, because value is something else. We put value on things, but talent, skill, and ability is what you already got. So in talent, skill, and ability, Saquon, Dalvin Cook, Josh Jacobs, the guy who led the league in rushing this year, who also doesn't have a contract because he doesn't want to sign for just his $10 million deal as well. And so it all kind of circles back, man. I don't know what answer they have in sight. There's way too much supply that there's no leverage of the demand. That's what it is. There's way too much supply. Guys like Isaiah Pacheco, guys like Kareem Hunt, who can come out of nowhere from the middle of Toledo and be probably a top 2 or 3 back for 2 or 3 years while he's in Kansas City before he, you know what I'm saying, makes decisions he makes. But we see it so often that, man, like do I want to risk $10 million to Dalvin Cook, or do I want to take a swing in the 6th round? You know what I'm saying? And see if I can get Terrell Davis. You know what I'm saying? An MVP and 2-time Super Bowl winner who ran for 2,000 yards. He was picked in the 6th round out of Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And so man, it's a tough spot to be in, man. If you're a running back in this league, for sure.
For sure, definitely. So, with us talking about these running backs, Willie J, do you got any potential landing spots, man? You got any spots you want to throw out there?
Man, I would love. Hey, man, I dog Tom to drop to the building, man. Tom and Mom Deuce, appreciate y'all for coming through and holler at your dogs. Appreciate y'all for show. But man, I loved that Miami pairing when that was still a thing. Now, it's not to say that it can't happen, but I guess those talks are kind of at a hold right now because, like we've been saying, he's looking for 10 million, and I think the Dolphins are looking for somewhere closer to 3 or 4. And so, but I think that one is he's also a Miami boy. He's from Florida. He's a Florida boy for sure. I believe he is from Miami specifically, or the greater Miami area, and they've got a need. So they've got Raheem Mostert. They've got Devin A-Chain. They drafted this year out of Texas A&M. They've got a room full of guys, but they don't have a guy. Dalvin Cook goes in there and he's a guy instantly. You know, and I like how he pairs just with the explosiveness on that team. So Miami is definitely the team that makes they have a need. It makes the most sense. They are competitive. So that's something that's intriguing to him. He's going back home. And so I would think if 10 is a firm number for everybody else, then I think maybe a team like Miami, maybe they get that discount. Maybe they get that $7-8 million number, like you were saying. I think that's a reasonable number as well if it's somebody who's has a legit chance to really make a real run. Because I'm not taking $7 million to go play with somebody fighting to be the number 3rd team in a division. You know what I'm saying? They just ain't worth it at that point. You know what I mean? And so if I gotta go, if I've got to go to New York Jets when I'm Le'Veon, then yeah, you better cash me out, boy. If I gotta go play for one of those teams, then I'm getting cashed out. But if it is a team that maybe does have some chance to make some real noise, then maybe you shave a couple dollars and you give yourself a chance to wear a ring. You know what I mean? But Miami does make the most sense. If they're out of it right now, ooh. All right, you might have to, give me a minute here, man. Let me go ahead. Let me hear what you're thinking, man. Why I think
so my thoughts is this, okay? With us even having the thoughts and the talks of him being banged up, and the way running back rooms are set up right now, I'm not 100% like just off of the bandwagon or just off of him possibly just having a more diminished role in somebody's offense that can allow him to be more effective. Dalvin Cook can for sure be effective if, let's say, we cut his touches down to 150 and just focus 100% on getting him the ball in space, letting him be dangerous, but not giving him the ball 300 times where he's taking all those hits. I heard talks, and this it kind of got me a little bit, when I was like, I don't know, that didn't make much sense. But then even the more I thought about it, it was like Denver Broncos. Javonte Williams, we know he's the head guy there.
Well, no, he's coming back off that injury though, and so
he is coming off the injury, so that would help there. But let's say Javonte Williams comes back and that he's the guy. He's 21, 22. It's only his 2nd year in the league. He is the guy. Sean Payton is the head coach. There's your Alvin Kamara right there. You know what I'm saying? Dalvin Cook is your Alvin Kamara. Give him the ball 150 times and watch what he do with it. You know what I'm saying? In some space. In some other situations, you don't have to. I don't think at this stage of his career, not saying he's done. I'm not saying that. I think Dalvin Cook can for sure be on a team where he's that guy and he can probably get through a full season and be very productive. But let's just say, you don't even got to worry about that. I'm going to take a little bit off your plate, Dalvin Cook, but I'm just going to let you be explosive. I got some gadget plays and all different types of plays for you just to let you run wild. You're going to touch the ball anywhere from 10 to 15 times a game. And when you touch the ball, I guarantee you, it's gonna put you in the spot where you're not running up the A gaps, B gaps. We're gonna get you some of those stretch plays. We're gonna get you some tosses. We're gonna get you matched up against some linebackers in coverage. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do all those different things. Now let's see you operate. Let's see you move. And then his touches, his yards per touch go from 5, you know what I'm saying, or 6 to about 8 or 9. You know what I'm saying? And let him be that dynamic Swiss Army knife in an offense. So I kind of like that a little bit. Takes a little bit more off his plate, but still allows him to be just as dangerous.
No, I like what you're saying. Now, the only thing is, I think you cut his touches down way too far, though. 150 ain't enough. Because he's still, he's a guy.
No, for sure.
So, I think that's too light. You know what I mean? But I think instead, maybe, let's say instead of 150, if you call that number 250, because that could be 200 rushes. That still leaves time. That still leaves 50 receptions or two and change, 40 receptions.
Yeah,
You know, maybe
and
250
I like
more.
that too. I like
Yeah.
that too. I
Because
like
you
that
still
too.
want to get your money's worth, especially if he's getting paid the way he wants to get paid. Then at the same time, like if I'm getting that $10 million check, I want $10 million worth of usage as well, or you know what I mean. But
And
not
then
different
maybe
though. I like
and
that
then maybe
pairing.
go look at Alvin Kamara's touches when he was alongside Melvin Ingram.
Melvin
He
Ingram. Oh
had
no,
he
no,
had he had 170. I
Mark
said
Ingram.
Melvin Ingram, Mark
Yeah,
Ingram.
Mark Ingram. I said the same thing.
He had 170 rushes, and he still had about 80 receptions. So that's about 250 touches. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you might be right with it, Jack. Anywhere from 200 to 250 touches.
Yeah,
I
somewhere
think
close
it's
to
still,
250.
but touches where it's like, no, we're not gonna pound you into the defensive line. We're gonna make sure you stay in space whenever we get you the rock. You know what I'm saying?
And I like that. I don't mind I don't mind that pairing actually, honestly, as well for the Broncos. Just like I said, I love the idea of him playing with Sean Payton for sure. And so I do think he offers the similar things to what you can get from Alvin Kamara. I think Kamara is probably a slightly better receiving back, just like all around as far as what he can offer in the receiving game. But I think Dalvin Cook is definitively a better runner, for sure. And so, yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, man. I love Dalvin Cook's feet. I love his vision. Man, yeah, he's a special guy, man. So I really enjoy watching him run. So I definitely want to see him run the ball. But I like that pairing as well. But then, kind of to your point, they've got Javonte Williams coming back, who's a dude. I love this guy coming out of North Carolina just 2 years ago. And then they also signed Samaje Perine from the Bengals as well. And so he's a bigger body guy. I think he came from Oklahoma. He's a bigger body guy who really started kind of eating away at Joe Mixon's touches there in Cincinnati. So he's definitely a capable back as well. And so if that's your stable of backs, if you're Sean Payton, then man, I like that. I like that a lot. But see, that's the thing too. I don't know cap situations and this time of year where everybody's probably, a lot of everybody's money is already spent. And so it's maybe hard to pay that ticket, man, to foot that money for the 10 million at this time. But yeah, I'll be curious to see where how that plays out, where he ends up going. I like that. The more you say that, man, I do like that Denver match. If it can't be Miami, I like that Denver match.
The way it's hitting you right now is the same way it hit me. I was like, man,
I like that. Yeah.
When I first heard, I was like, I'm on Devin. No, Devin Cook need 300. Give him 300 touches, man. He can still rock with it. But then it was like, no, hey, I kind of like it though, because it opens up some. So yeah, that's the same way it's hitting you right now. Is the same way it hit me.
I like it.
I'm
with you. The more I think about it, more I like that.
All right, man. Well, there goes your news for today, man. Dalvin Cook being released. Of course, we touched on that. But now it's time to jump into what we came here for, Willie Jack. And we came here today to talk about the defensive side of the ball. We came here to talk about the coverage guys, the guys on the outside, on that island, one-on-one, mano-a-mano with some of the best receivers in the games, man. We're talking about the top 10 cornerbacks going into the 2023 season. And I don't know if you guys were here last week, but I'll remind you guys again, yes, it does have a little bit to do with how they performed, but this is a projection. You know what I'm saying? This is where we see these players, performing in 2023. You know what I'm saying? So I want to put that out there, so you guys know that there's a difference. And I want to make it clear whenever we put these out, what we talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, Willie Jack, without further ado, I think it's about time for us to jump on in. So
come on with it.
I'm gonna start this one off first. I think you went first last week, man. So I'm gonna start this one off first. And I'm gonna go with my number 10 guy, and I'm gonna go over to Philadelphia, man. And I'm gonna go with Darius Slay. Darius Slay is my number 10 cornerback on this list, man. Phenomenal season last year. But I don't know if first and foremost, I think last season, in my opinion, was the best season he's had in his career. Okay, the boy was locked in all year long. You know what I'm saying? From the rooter to the tutor, from week 1 to week 1 to week 18, the boy was locked in. Faced some of the better receivers in the league all year long, and was very, very successful. You know what I'm saying? Can't take anything away from the season he had last year. Definitely an all-pro caliber season. Of course, he didn't get that first team nod, but definitely the way he played, was all-pro worthy. But yeah, I got Darius Slay my number 10 spot. Very good corner, very instinctual. He is one of those guys where I'm not 100% sure that he'll repeat the performance he had last year. Okay. And a prime example of that would be the game that he had. I think it may have been week 2 or week 3. It was a Sunday night or Monday night game against the Minnesota Vikings where his assignment was Justin Jefferson. Now, don't get me wrong, he didn't do bad against Justin Jefferson. He actually had a hell of a game when you look at the stats. But there were certain plays where the ball was pretty much given to him. I mean, Kirk Cousins pretty much should have walked to where he was covering them at and just handed it to him because it was a lot of underthrows and bad throws. And
that could have been Kirk's worst game of the year, or one of his worst.
No, absolutely his worst game of the year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go out there and see it because when I watched that game, he was just a benefit of Kirk Cousins' bad game, and that's the kind of cornerback play that you'll see from Darius Slay from time to time, where he's not in the best situation or in the best coverage position. His leverage is not always 100% right, but hey, if you're in the right place in the right time, man, I can't knock you. You there? You made the play. Hey, good for you, man. Great game. You know what I'm saying? Not taking anything from your game, but at the same time, when I watch that film, when we're talking about the top corners in the league, some of these other guys, you don't see them get caught in those positions, too often. And that's what I see a lot from Darius Slay. So that's why I got him in my number 10 spot and not a little bit higher, in comparison to, some other guys that we're going to get to as we get a little bit further. So Darius Slay, I'm starting my list off with him as my number 10 cornerback going into the 2023 season. Willie Jack, who's your number 10?
Real quick. Well,
and actually, go ahead. Yeah, talk to me. Talk to me.
And honestly, Slay's on my list. No, you know what? I'm gonna leave him where he's at, man. Slay's on my list. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. But one thing I want to say about Slay, he had a lot of really good years in Detroit. You know what I mean? When Detroit was a bottom 5 team in this league consistently, and he was a guy quietly out there, playing pretty well. And so I was super impressed with this year. I think you might have went a little hard on him, man, in that Vikings game. Because now Kirk, it was a terrible game for Kirk, and maybe he doesn't finish that game. I think he finished that game with 2 interceptions and like 4 deflections or so. I mean, it was a fantastic game, or maybe 3 deflections and 2 interceptions. But that is a corner, he touched the ball 5 times in that game. That's a very high output game. Like I said, on a season, a corner may get, let's say, 16 PBUs. Well, he had 3 or 4 in this one game. We played 17 weeks. Yeah. So, like I say, it was a very like heavy or very intense game for him as far as like his hands on the ball. But man, a lot of it was Kirk's. It was a bad game for Kirk. But man, I'm not gonna lie, man. I just want to make sure he still gets some of his fire as well. Because just like my dog said, man, you still got to be there to make the play. So man, it was a bad ball, man. It was front shoulder. It should have been back shoulder, man. It was inside. It should have been out. You know what I mean? Maybe this one you just shouldn't have threw, but he was there. You know what I mean? And so I want to give him his credit there. Another thing about Slay, last thing I'll say about Slay, and I'll move on. He is a guy that he's a guy that like he wants the number ones, and he's a guy that's accustomed to being on the number one. And you know what I mean? And so, and that's always a benefit as well. Now, whether or not they didn't. It doesn't feel like they often, if ever, they didn't really flip sides. I feel like Bradbury predominantly was on the right side and Slay was predominantly on the left. But then if there are instances where there is some type of specific matchup to be had, Slay's the guy who takes the top, the other top receiver. So I think all that stuff is a credit to him and the player he is, man. So he's coming back on my list, man. So I'll talk shortly about him when I get there. But for right now, my number 10. Oh, see, every time. See, because 8, 9, and 10 could be in any order for me. Are they? Well, roughly, they're all pretty close. But for 10 for me, man, I'm gonna go Tyreek Woolen. I'm gonna go Tyreek Woolen, the second year corner, going into his sophomore year, the corner from Seattle, and so came out of nowhere for most of us. I think it was what. Fifth round out of, was it UT San Antonio or UT El Paso, UTEP? It was an off-brand school essentially, but he was a height, weight, speed specimen, 6'3", 200 pounds, ran 4.3, nothing. You know what I mean? And so his ball production was phenomenal. So 6 interceptions this year, tied for the league in the league in that regard. One thing about Tyreek Woolen for me is, for one, is that style of ball production is an outlier for one. Like it's hard to count on just that style of production. So that ball production or interceptions don't carry over year for year. It's one of those things where like you're not a worse corner because you had 6 interceptions one year, then the next year you only had 1 or none. You can still just be just as dominant as you was, but just like sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And so I don't know, man. I like his length. I like his speed. I really like him up the field. He could jump with anybody. He can run long. He can long run. He can run straight line with anybody as well. One thing about him, when I actually watch him, he gets beat, but his athleticism covers for him. So he'll be beat, but he can catch up. He can make a play, or he can stretch and get there where he shouldn't. He can. One of his interceptions, it's an in breaking route. On the break, somebody takes 3 yards from him instantly, loses him. But there again, he's got the speed and athleticism where he makes up the difference, steps right in front for the interception, and now he can run a little bit. And so that's the kind of the balance there. I want to see him maybe more so refine in the actual in phase with the receivers, and then continue that ball protection as well. But like I said, this is a guy in the bottom of the draft, somewhere around the 5th round, I want to say, from a small
steal for the Seattle Seahawks.
A definite steal for a team that's used to stealing cornerbacks in late rounds. Richard Sherman and Brandon Browner being guys that are a testament to that. And so I want to see him refine in those areas, because the ball production isn't enough. Trayvon Diggs had 11 interceptions 2 years ago. Y'all told me he was the worst corner in the league. So it's got to be deeper than just the interceptions. You know what I'm saying? But I do think he can improve and tighten up just when he's actually in phase guarding the receivers, and more so, and not as much when, like I said, when he's up the field, when everybody's 30 yards up the field and we're all opened up, well, then the receiver could do less, and now you're playing into my wheelhouse, and he's great there. And then, like I say, even on those in breaking routes or deep crosses and things like that, unless the timing and the ball are perfect, he can make up any ground that he loses anyway, and so he covers up for a play that, if his athleticism bail him out, man, those are catch and runs. For, man, receivers might still be running with some of the separation they can get on him. You know what I'm saying? But his athleticism saves him. So that's why I got him probably a little lower on my list that I imagine my dog's gonna probably have. But he can go to the top of this list. In 2 years, if the guy in the top 3 or 4, it wouldn't blow me away. But for right now, he just came on the scene. He's young. He still does have a lot of more refining to do in those aspects. And so I got him started at 10.
Absolutely, I understand where you're coming from with this, Willie Jack. But like you said, he is on my list, so I'm gonna wait to kind of give my little bit of my little spiel on Tyreek Woolen, man. So go ahead, come on back with your number 9, man. Who you got at number 9?
See, now I'm thinking about switching 8 and 9, man. I'm thinking about switching 8 and 9, kind of because a lot of what you just said. All right, Slay's in my mix for 8 and 9. All right, this is where I had this was Slade.
Is he number 9? Is he number 8?
That's what I'm trying to think, man. That's what I'm trying, because both these. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna make him. I'm gonna put him at 9. I'm gonna put him at 9, and because a lot of things that my dog Chop said, I think he makes some very valid points there. But like I said, I do like Slade. Slade's a player that he was just not talked about enough for quite a while. And then, you leave Detroit, you go to Philly, you're on the most dominant team in football for 2022. You have your best year, you know what I'm saying, this year. And so he got a lot of his flowers this year. So I'm super happy for him for that. But then, kind of like my dog Chop said, I'm curious to see how it looks like in this next year. And it's not even so much about Slade, but remembering they lost their defensive coordinator. And so, and you know what? I'm not, who's the defensive coordinator there now? Like, I'm not sure who's going to take over that role. I would imagine if it's an in-house hire, then maybe they try to mimic or keep going what they were doing this last year. Like, say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of deal. Or if it's somebody else, man, I probably should have looked into that. But I am curious what that defense looks like this next year, with it being a new defense coordinator, kind of scheming and calling those plays as well. And then also, I think Slade definitely started this year super hot. He was probably the best corner in the league for probably the first 4 weeks. I feel like the first quarter of the season or so, he was locked down. I mean, he was shut down. He really was. And so that Justin Jefferson game in week 2 definitely was a feather in his cap. But he put together, I want to say 4 or 5 really dominant style of weeks, man, at that position. And so, I like I said, I could have left him at 8, but I'll go ahead and put him here at 9 because his looking at things like ball production. So he's a guy that he does get his hand on a few interceptions a year. But yeah, I'm still curious to see just what that defense looks like coming back around this go around with a new coordinator, and then also in the early part of the year as well, where he probably looked his best. Let's say if he looked his best in the first half of the season, him, Bradbury, the other big part of that was Chauncey Gardner Jr. or Chauncey Gardner Johnson as well, who had 6 interceptions in those first 7-8 weeks of the year as well, which coincided when that unit was full and everybody's making plays. He played super well, and he played good the rest of the season. I don't want to say he played bad, but I do think he cooled off that second half of the season as opposed to the first. And I don't know if that had anything to do with, like I said, just as the season wears on, Chauncey Gardner Jr. fell out that lineup, and then like I said, going into the season next year, man, I don't know what they're going to do on defense or how they're going to look schematically that way as well.
Gotcha. And with you, so it's crazy that you asked it, who's the defensive coordinator, and you went from Tariq Woolen to Darius Slay. So the new defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles is Sean Desai. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But he served as the Seattle Seahawks associate head coach, and he focused on the defense in 2022. Okay. And one of the things that they mentioned, I just pulled up a little article, was the draft pick of Tariq Woolen in the 5th round, like you said, and him being a finalist as far as being the rookie of the year. He also used to coach at Temple from 2000. He started his coaching career at Temple from 2007 to 2010. You know what I'm saying, where he graduated and moved to the NFL, and it gives you a whole list of all of his things and
I got you.
so on and so forth. But yeah, Sean Desai, that's his name, man. He's defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. So we'll see what he can kind of bring to the table. We'll see if this defense changes, if they have more of a Seattle style defense this year. But
and that's interesting.
I'd imagine they wouldn't want to change this defense that much because of the skill set of everybody that they have. But that's who they bringing in.
Yeah, and I think is Steichen Steichen is the offensive coordinator. The defensive guy was the one who went to Arizona. I can't think of his name. Gannon. There we go. I think I was saying Steichen earlier, and that's my fault. That was the OC. So Gannon, Jonathan Gannon. And so I think they mostly ran it was almost like a shell or a cover 4. I feel like unless I'm tripping, help me if I'm wrong. I want to say they did a lot of like cloud coverage. It was a lot of like shell or cover 4 where the
and a lot of 3, of course. That's what Seattle likes to do. So.
And that's what I was gonna say. And so Seattle runs a lot of, or it's based in 3, like a press bell 3, and then they get into some other stuff off of the 3, but the 3 is the primary, is the primary base of that scheme. And so
for sure,
yeah. No, I like it. I like that. I think I should do well. And then, like I say, he's a very athletic guy. He's got good size and length. He's 6 foot. He's long built. So there's a lot about Slade's game that I enjoy, man. So I'm glad he got his flowers this year, like we said.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that kind of moves me to my number 9 guy, man. And my number 9 guy is one of your guys, Willie Jack. I know you'll probably be happy to hear his name. I don't know how high you got him on your list. If you even got him on your list, I don't know if you kind of fell off the bandwagon. We'll see. But I'm going with Marshawn Lattimore, man. Marshawn Lattimore, New Orleans Saints cornerback, man. I really have grown to like Marshawn Lattimore's game. And one of the reasons I like him, too, is because I like his relentlessness.
My fault, man. The disrespect. Lat is number 9, dog. This 8 better than a healthy Lattimore, cuz 8.
Understand that when we go into this, when we start talking about this, we are projecting for the 2023 season. And also, yes, this is where I got him. Okay, let me finish talking about your boy.
My bad, dog. Man,
that lets me know that he is on your list. That lets me know that he is on your list.
Oh, man, that's a fact, man. Come on now.
Okay, all right. Well, let's talk then. So, Marshawn, I have really grown to like Marshawn Lattimore's game. You know what I'm saying? And I like what he brings to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Marshawn Lattimore is one of those guys that will get in your face. He gonna be
He's feisty
all single game. He gonna be relentless.
Yeah.
He is. We might want to go and call him that dog. He's a dog.
No,
You know
he's a dog in my book, but Marshawn Lattimore wants to play nose to nose with whatever receiver he's playing.
That's
with.
it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Yeah.
He wants to be right there in your face. He wants to be. He want to sniff your jersey. He want to know what your armpits smell like. He want to know. You know what I'm saying? He want to be able to tell you when the last time you brushed your teeth this morning. You know what I'm saying? So like he want to be able to tell you all those different things. That's what Marshawn Lattimore is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He's that very competitive guy. Now, the thing with Marshawn Lattimore, every once in a while, like he'll get beat. You know what I'm saying? He'll get beat, but that won't stop him. He's gonna be still right there each and every play. He's gonna be right there the next play. All right, you beat me this play, good for you. But I'm coming right back. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be right here the next play, and I'm gonna be right here to play after that. You know, so when you go play Marshawn Lynch, that's one of those games where you're gonna have to buckle up. You know,
bring your heart.
It's a reason why in that division, a guy like Mike Evans has been caught twice. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get with Marshawn Lattimore after the play. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a guy that definitely gets under their skin. You know what I'm saying? And he aggravates you. And that's one thing with watching football over the years that wide receivers hate. They hate a cornerback that's there everywhere they go. It's like a fly. It's like a gnat at a barbecue. You like this every single some of the most annoying stuff ever, man. That's what it's like with Marshawn Lattimore is guarding you, except it's a little bit more physical. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just no gnat just tickling your ear. Nah, he putting a space mask in your neck. You know what I'm saying? He right there each and every play. So when I watch Marshawn Lattimore, man, that's to me, that's what he brings to the table. You know what I'm saying? But I got like him at this number 9 spot. You know, and don't get me wrong, he's a huge part to this New Orleans defense. This New Orleans defense is solid. It's been solid for some years now. But I got him at this number 9 spot because of when we start going into this list. There's a few other guys that I like just a little bit more, man. They have a little bit more, in my opinion, a little bit more to their game. And then we got some young guys that's cooking. Some young guys that's on their way, you know, and I got Marshawn Lattimore here, man. And not saying Marshawn Lattimore is old too, but when I say young, I'm talking about young and spry.
Some of these guys just came in, man. Yeah, he's 27. He's an established veteran. You know, he's about 27.
We're talking about Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen is one of those guys.
Yeah, he's a baby.
It's looking real freakish. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I got Marshawn Lattimore in my number 9 spot, man. I know you found that. I know.
Yeah, man. Hey,
I know it hurts you. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, Lat's on my list, man. And honestly, he got injured last year, so I think he only played like the first half of the year. I think if I remember right, he only played like the first half of the year. And so if he finishes the year strong and plays the way that he's generally known for playing, then he's still ranked pretty good on my list because, like I said, we are projected for going forward. So I know last year he only played 7 games. I'm anticipating, as far as I know, he's fully healthy, he's fully back and ready to go. And man, if we're talking about just with Coach Ford, you say sometimes, man, you just got to play cat coverage. If you tell me we just got to be like, hey, look, man, hey, forget everything else, man. The 4 guys up front gonna rush, the 3 guys behind them gonna blitz, and y'all 4 in the back. Like, I just need guys out here follow this. Your guy, follow this guy. You know what I'm saying? Smell his breath all day. Marshawn Lattimore is one of those guys that can handle that type of assignment. You know what I mean? Like, don't do nothing but stay in his front pocket all day. And he's a guy that can do that. And man, that's a value, man. It's guys probably higher, there's guys that may be higher ranked on my list than him, but they can't necessarily do that. I'm talking about 60 snaps. I just want you to smell his breath for 60 plays. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's a guy that can do that. And just like my dog Chop said, you know, I like a guy with a little bit of, you know what I'm saying? He got a little something with him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he definitely bringing something with him for sure.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I really enjoyed Marshawn Lattimore's game, man. And so he's on my list. So I'll give him some flowers to sing his praises here in a little bit. Do you roll to 8 or do I go?
I roll to 8. I'm about to roll to 8. So let me.
He made your list though. If he wasn't on your list, man, I'd have look.
We didn't have to talk. Huh?
He made the list. There we go.
But I think I got a feeling I'm gonna make up for it in a little while with each other. I think you're gonna like what I'm gonna do later on, but we're gonna get to that in a minute though. But let's move on to my number 8 guy, man. My number 8 guy is old, reliable, old faithful. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? And I say old because the guy is 32 right now. I'm going
Ooh.
with Stephon Gilmore, man.
Gilly.
Stephon Gilmore, call him Gilly. I love that name first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like a guy that just he nice with it. He cold with it. You know what I'm saying? And Gilly, former defensive player of the year, man, he still has it. And every year I feel like, man, I don't know, man. Stephon Gilmore, he getting older. And every year he tends to come back and play just as well. You know what I'm saying? In any system, from when he was with the Colts, you know what I'm saying, to the different teams that he's with, now going over to the Cowboys, you know, and not necessarily having to play that number one role, he can go play that two role and be for real lockdown. This guy was playing as a number one corner and locking down number ones, and now you asking him to go play James Bradbury role. Ah, man, it's going to be a piece of cake this year. It's going to be a long day for number two receivers in the NFC East all year long. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to be a receiver, the number two receiver in that division that ain't going to have hell. You know what I'm saying? And that depends on how they play. They might just say, all right, it don't matter which side you go to. I got a guy that can cover you. I got Trayvon Diggs, the young bull over here, ready to pick you off. Or I got Stephon Gilmore on the other side. That's just going to smother you and not let you do nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of player that Stephon Gilmore is. Absolutely smothers receivers, doesn't let them do much of anything. You know what I'm saying? His technique, his feel for the game, and his ability to, you know, read routes and know what a receiver is going to do before they do it is like none other. You know what I'm saying? It's at the tops of the league, you know what I'm saying, with some other guys that we may get to in a minute. But Stephon Gilmore, that doesn't matter, man. It's like he keeps on ticking and he keeps on moving, and he is one of the best still, you know what I'm saying, in this league. I don't know. He's continuing to get older, like I said before. So I got him on my number 8 spot, but Stephon Gilmore, he's the former defensive player of the year for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Because he's got it, and he's for real. He's the real deal when it comes to playing corner, man. His anticipation and all the things he brings to the table. And now he's a veteran. He brings that savviness. And I honestly expect this Dallas Cowboys defense to be for real. So I got Stephon Gilmore, man, my number 8.
And man, I'm glad Gilly's on your list, dog. I end up dropping Gilly off my list so I could put Tyreek Woolen on my list. I wanted to make sure I talk about some of these young guys, man, in this next generation. And so
sure.
Gilly, the last draft I did right before I went ahead and just finalized it, I had Gilly at 10, and then I swapped him out for Tyreek Woolen, man, so I could get a young guy some love because Gilly's had his day. But hey, look at our dog Tom in the building, man. He said our dog Chop was our Gilly at back in the day, man. Hey, that's what they used to say, man. They used to call him bump and run Chop, man. Yeah, hey, bump and run Chop, what they call him, man. Do anything but tackle.
Hey, man.
No, I'm lying. Hey, I'm lying.
Listen,
on my dog, man. My dog did it all, man.
There's one thing I always said.
My dog did it all, man.
If a guy coming at me, man, if he coming at me,
hey, he's going down now. Hey, he's going down.
He's gonna go down. I might be on my back, but it's cool though.
Hey, yeah, they weren't pretty tackles, but they was tackles for sure. Man. Hey, my dog did it all, man. But no, so I'm definitely glad Gilly made your list, man. I've got, and you know what? On some of my drafts, I think I had Gilly as high as 8 as well. I don't think I went higher than 8, but I think I had him as high as 8, and then I had him at 10, and then right before I finalized it, man, I ended up dropping him off. He was gonna be my first honorable mention. I ended up giving Tyreek Woolen some love, man. Looking towards tomorrow and a little less on yesterday. So I don't disagree with anything that you said, though, for sure.
For sure. All right, well, come on with it.
Yeah, and actually,
number 8 guy.
That transitions well for your boy because this is where I'm gonna put Trayvon Diggs, and so Diggs is, I don't even know if he's gonna make Chops 10 or not because Diggs is so polarizing of a player, and maybe especially 2 years ago, like I said, when he had all those interceptions, but then people love to point out all the plays that he didn't make, you know what I mean, as well. But this last year, I think he took a tremendous step forward this last year as far as being a more consistent corner, just play for play. You know what I mean? Now his interceptions came down drastically, but which, like I said, I mean that's an outlier stat for interceptions. Don't tell the story of cornerback. You know what I mean? That's just an outlier stat, man. So the best years of Revis, he didn't get interceptions. I feel like, you know what I mean. His best those early Jets days. I didn't think Revis could catch the ball until he got to Tampa Bay, and then it feels like he started getting more interceptions that time. Anywho, but what I'm saying is the interceptions don't always tell the story. So I definitely feel like Trayvon Diggs took a very nice step forward as far as just being a more consistent receiver. But I'm also looking at what Stephon Gilmore is going to bring to Diggs this upcoming season as well. So I took that into account. And so I think with Stephon Diggs take the step he took, and now he has a guy, a former defensive player of the year, and a guy who's still playing very quality ball in Stephon Gilmore. Well, now Stephon Gilmore sits next to him in every defensive meeting now. Now Stephon Gilmore is in his ear when we're looking at film now. So I can, or at least I'm hoping or anticipating that's going to be the nature of this relationship is what I'm hoping for Diggs especially. And so that type of mentorship is invaluable. You know what I mean? And like I said, talking to a guy who's a defensive player of the year as a corner. Now, maybe that could have been TJ Watt's defensive player of the year award. You know what I'm saying? If you ask me, but whatever, it's all good. He, you know what I'm saying? He did what he did. So, but just imagining that Gilly, the impact that Gilly can have on him as far as refining his own game, and then also how much of the burden he can help take off of Diggs as well, knowing that you've got another guy over there that can completely hold his own. And you know what I mean? And so I just think it just makes life all around better for Trayvon Diggs. And like I say, if he continues on his own trajectory, he can only, if he continues to take the same step forward this year that he took last year, and now with Gilly being there in that room, in that office, on the field with him. And so I just think it can make him that much better. And like I said, this is a guy that we know, former receiver at Alabama. He got converted to corner while in college at Alabama and then made it to the league and then has been the player that we've seen him be. He's been playing corner now for 4 years. That's crazy to think, bro. He started playing corner in college. He was a receiver. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy to think he's still a very young player at the position as well. And so he's a guy, man, that he's only getting better. And so I've got Diggs here, man. And the same as you, man. I think that Cowboy defense, man, they're putting real pieces there. Michael Parsons is only getting better, only getting more experience. You know what I mean? So they've got some pieces there, man. If they tighten up, like I said, they get a little stiffer in the middle, then, man, they can really make some things happen.
Gotcha. And I like that pick too, Willie Jack. You know what I'm saying? I like everything that you said. He did show it's a different part of his game. I'm pretty sure he heard the talks about his game and what people thought of him and thought he was his first year in the league. But that's crazy. It was his first year in the league. You know what I'm saying? So it's even crazy for a guy like that to have that type of season. You know what I'm saying? So I like this spot right there. I like that spot, man. Who's your number 7, Willie Jack?
So yeah, number 7, and mind you, I had him. I think I had him and Slay going back and forth. So yeah, they right in there together. And then number 7 for me, this is where I'm gonna go Marlon Humphrey. And so Marlon Humphrey from the Ravens, and he was almost like the forgotten guy. Like when I do a lot of these lists, the first thing I do is I just start writing names. The first guy to come to my mind, if we're talking corners or we're talking defensive tackles, quarterbacks, I just write as many that come to my mind that make sense. So I probably wrote down 20 corners before I started getting to guys like, okay, now I got to reach a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, or, you know, like these guys are good, but they're not realistically, you know, I don't know if they have a chance to get in this 10. But then, like, I would be like 12 names in and be like, wait, man, I'm missing somebody. Oh, damn. Hump. You know what I'm saying? Humphreys, Marlon Humphreys. And so doesn't hurt that he's in my division as well as a Raven, but he's a guy, he's ultra aggressive, ultra physical in his man coverage, a little grabby. He doesn't necessarily have the ball skills of a guy like Trayvon Diggs, so to say, but he's more so a PBU guy. He'll stick his nose in there in the run game as well. And so he's got a very aggressive demeanor. He's got good size. He's got good speed. And so there's a lot of things to like about his game. But he is also a guy where I feel like he's always good. But then sometimes maybe some matchups get the best of him. Jamar Chase introduced himself to the league going against the Ravens because he abused Marlon Humphrey for about 60 minutes. How long is 4 quarters, Chop? About 60 minutes? About 59 and a half of them minutes, Jamar Chase was in Marlon Humphrey's in his neck, boy.
And that lets you know something because they weren't even on offense for 59 and a half minutes, but 59 and a half minutes, That
Look,
boy.
nah. Bro, when I tell, look, he had to go sit on the sideline with what just happened on the field. He had to sit with 59 minutes of this boy really whooped my ass on live TV. My mama in the stands, my
Yeah.
gal probably looking.
Yeah.
Everybody's seen this boy out here running me crazy. He had to sit with it too, bro. 59 and a half minutes. I'm gonna give him 30 seconds off because them first 30 seconds of that first play, he was probably like, all right, let's see the young guy got. Oh shit, he got something. And then after that, it was downhill, man. So
That's
but
one
no,
of those games. That's one of those games where you hope the cable went out at your house. You know what I'm saying?
man, I tell you what, you hope
your kids
the
got a chance.
toilet overflew and somebody had to go fix it and didn't nobody watch the game, man. You hope something went wrong. Yeah, is that somebody ran out of gas and everybody had to go leave to help change the tire. You know what I'm saying? Like something had to happen. Or you gotta get back to the crib like, man, my hamstring been tight all week. We just didn't talk about it, with the game.
That's all. Yeah, that's all.
I've been nursing some stuff. Yeah, man, you got to do something like that. But no, man. But outside of that, though, I think he's consistently. I think he's consistently good. He's borderline really good, but I don't know if I've ever felt like he's like full-fledged been great. But I think he's a guy that's always really good. Is how I feel about him. I feel he's pretty consistent in that way. I feel like I know what I'm getting. I know I'm getting a fight. I know I'm getting an aggressive guy. I know I'm getting a guy. He wants to put his nose in the fire as well. I know he's a guy who's comfortable. He's comfortable locking up a guy. He's comfortable being nose to nose in a guy. And like I said, man, there's a lot of things there to like. And so I think this was the spot I kind of fell in with him. So I got him falling in at 7. But like I said, man, Humphrey, Slade, Diggs, if Gilmore could have been in this mix as well. So all these guys for me, man, are all, I'm shaving hairs now. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think these guys are all kind of similar tier of corners in my mind. And so but that's where I got Hunt.
For sure. And I agree with everything that you said, Willie Jack. And I do like Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey was one of the guys that I, continuously vouch for as being one of the top corners, in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? I do believe he was nice. Last year, they switched his role a little bit, though. I don't know if you kind of noticed as much what he did. He played a lot of time in the slot. You know what I mean? He played a lot of time in the slot. They had him guarding a lot of the slot guys. He had a different type of role. And it worked to the benefit for this defense, especially for the second half of the season. You know what I'm saying? So I expect to see a little bit more of that this upcoming season with Marlon Humphrey. But still a talented guy, man. Still a guy that, can go in and compete each and every down with some of the best guys in this league. Yeah, he's in this division with some dogs. You know what I'm saying? But hey, he goes out there and competes, and he gets the job done for his team, man. So very, very valuable piece to that defense. But without further ado, Willie Jack, man, I think we're about halfway through there, man. So I think it's about time you go ahead and talk to him, man. Let him know what's going on.
For sure.
Talk to him about the Amigos. So give them the whole rundown, man. Just in case they don't know what's going on. I think it's about time you go ahead and talk to him, Willie Jack.
Hey, man, I heard my dog say, man, today's episode of Let the Film Speak, hosted by the wonderfully handsome and intelligent brothers of Let the Film Speak. That's Chop and your main man, Willie Jack. You feel me? Also brought to you by the 3 Amigos. Y'all know them and you love them, man. That's the 3 Amigos. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe. That's 3 the hard way. That's a 3-piece spicy. You cannot go wrong. Now, I say the same thing every week, so y'all can say it at home with me. I know y'all ready for it. Here we go. It's 3 Amigos, but it's 4 parts to this process, big dog. First, you just got to tap in. Like my dog said, man, come in, tap in. Just say what's up, man. Just holler. Hey, what's up, 3 Amigos, man? Like, share, subscribe. Hey, Chop, man. Willie, man, what's going on, man? It's cool. I sit on the couch. For sure. Y'all got something cold to drink? Oh, man, my man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, man, I'm a Broncos fan. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's easy. And Chop, come in, sit down, get comfortable, get a cool adult beverage, and let us know who you ride with, big dog. Then tell a friend. Like, man, that's a nice feeling here, ain't it? Man, it's cool, man. My homeboy was out. He was down. Man, it's cool. I can tell a friend. Tell a friend, man. And you know what? Even better than that, you can tell your friend to tell a friend. Guess what? There's more. You can tell your friend to bring his partner too. Bring one more because we need 4, man. Bring them up into the penthouse. Tapping with your dogs, man. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. You know we don't wear no watches. We ain't got nowhere else to be but in here kicking football flavor with the fam. And now back to the regularly scheduled program.
All right. Willie Jack, now it's about that time, man. We're going to jump into number 7, man. We're going to jump into my number 7 guy, and I'm moving over to the NFC, man. And I think this is where we're going to start changing tiers a little bit. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, where guys are going to end up after this year. You know what I'm saying? After this 2023 season, You know what I'm saying? And I told y'all last episode, I just tell y'all, what it is, not what it ain't, what it's not gonna be. Not we ain't just predicting. This is where we change tiers a little bit. We're gonna move up a tier. And my number 7 guy is Jair Alexander for the Green Bay Packers. Okay, here we go. Now I'm gonna talk to you like this. Anybody questioning Jair Alexander's skills, just because he got injured or whatever the case may be, how about I refer you to Week 17 last year, Green Bay Packers versus the Minnesota Vikings, where he had an encounter or a run-in with a guy that we call, Jettas, Justin Jefferson.
Best in the biz, a few of his nicknames.
I mean, if you really want to be reaching for names, you can call him best in the biz. Cool. But he had a run-in with him, man, and he told him before the game, man, it's gonna be a long game for him. And one catch, 15 yards after that, you know what I'm saying? We was looking at him different. And I think that was a game that made everybody, just a little flashback, that's the game that made everybody feel like, the Green Bay Packers they're gonna make the playoffs, because they blew the Vikings out that game. I think they won like 41-17 or something like that. But that game was an example of how good Jair Alexander is, man. Sticky man covers corner, man. Good ball skills. He only gave up a 55% completion percentage. You know what I'm saying? When in coverage, when a ball was coming his way. He had his career high in interceptions, 5, and he's only 26 years old. He's only going to get better. Now, he's a guy that's also, I was thinking about moving up on my list, but I feel okay with how my list is going to fall, because I feel like cornerback, when I looked at cornerbacks, Willie Jack, you told me what your process is and how you just start writing names down. I feel like this year there's going to be, how we usually say, all right, in tier 1, that's probably like 3, 4 guys, 5 guys, something like that. We may have 7 tier 1 guys. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to this, I'm just saying, this is what I feel. And the reason why I feel this is because it won't.
Wait.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me make sure I understand. So, like, from Jair Alexander at 7 through the rest of your list, you think these are all the tier 1? These are all tier 1 guys?
I don't think that they're tier 1 now. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when we look back on the 2023 season, this is I'm going foreseeing.
So this time next year,
we might be saying, man, it's a lot of really, really, really good, like, top tier corners. You know what I'm saying? It may be a lot of those guys that they can be in that room and say, hey, man, these guys is nice. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is rare. We don't see this. You're not going to see this with any other position, but I think that with this position, man, we got some good guys. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that was based off of, what I've seen from Jair Alexander and what he can actually do on a play-by-play basis, man. So I think he's going to continue to be good for years to come. You know what I'm saying? He showed that he want all the smoke. I'm here for any challenge anybody has. They call you who? They call you the best in the business. Well, come see me. I got something for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm riding around in my white van. I got some candy for you, little kid. I got some candy for you. And hey, that's Justin Jefferson. I'm sorry, sir, but he had the best of you that game. You know what I'm saying? And this ain't taking nothing away from Justin Jefferson, but it just showed you the talent level that he has and his ability to be dominant at times and to show like, dang, he really can be good. So
and you know what's crazy? He had those 2 games where he had less than 50 yards combined in those 2 games, and he was threatening 2,000 yards. He had a chance to go for 2,000 at the end of the year.
That was the game. That was the game you said. I remember that week you said Justin Jefferson player of the week, keeping it going. I think it was like
he needed a big one. I knew it was one of those last weeks.
One. Yeah. He needed a big one.
Because I was gonna call him JJ2K, bro. I was ready. JJ2K was
you had it lined up.
Yeah, man. It was gonna have to be a big day, but yeah, man. It was exactly the opposite way, like my dog Chop said.
For sure. Yeah. So that's why I got my boy number 7, man. Nice corner, man. And, hey, all you young kids, y'all looking for somebody to study? Go look at Jair Alexander's tape, man. You're gonna learn something for sure. Definitely learn something. Look like you got something to say, Willie J.
Man, look, man, Chopper already know I'm triggered right now. He's got probably 2 of maybe my 3 favorite corners in the league. Jair Alexander and Marshawn Lattimore are 2 of my like not even like just like best, but just like my personal, just like fan favorite type thing. Jair Alexander and Marshawn Lattimore are on a very short list for me. It's like I like both those guys. Both those guys can be sticky. Both of them are aggressive. Both of them don't mind letting you know what's going on.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Like my dog. You know what I'm saying? So they check all the little boxes for me. Jair Alexander for me, man. He's special, dog. A guy that got comparison to him in this draft cycle was Devon Witherspoon, the kid out of Illinois. We both were very high on going into this draft, and not necessarily for his just overall style of play, but his click and close. Like, see it, put my foot in the ground, and accelerate and go. Jair Alexander may be he may have the best click and close in the league. You know what I mean? Like he's that explosive. Like if he stops, put his foot in the ground, and then boom, explode. Like you stop or a stopper hit your front of him, man. No lost speed, no lost steps. Boom, I'm right downhill. And so very impressive stat, man. I really like his game a lot. Man, I can't believe he's not higher on your list, bro. Can't believe, man.
I'm gonna tell you why.
All right,
let me go to my number 6. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. So at my number 6 spot, I got a guy that you already named on your list. A guy you already named. But here's what.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Okay, you ain't got me, Willie Jack. You ain't got me.
This ain't Will.
Dallas Cowboys, Trayvon Diggs, man.
Oh, this was deal. Okay,
I went a different route. So here's my thing with Trayvon Diggs, and it was a lot of what you said, Willie Jack, and I wanted to kind of keep it. You know, I didn't want to let you know if I had him on my list or didn't have him on my list, but I did have him.
See, you wasn't necessarily a big fan of Diggs, you know what I mean, a little bit ago. Yes, that's what he's gonna make.
I wasn't a big fan of him because I was one of the guys that felt like, yeah, you getting a lot of interceptions, 10, 11 interceptions, that's cool, you know what I'm saying, but you also giving up a lot of yards, you know what I mean? And when you think about that in the grand scheme of things, yeah, you're gonna give up a lot of yards, but you're not picking the ball off every time that you giving away all these yards. You get what I'm saying? So I get it. If you're gonna give up a lot of yards, make sure you get the ball back. But there was games where he was giving a lot of yards up, but not getting the ball back. You know what I'm saying? 11 interceptions. A couple games he had double-digit interceptions. That means you only had interceptions in maybe 7, 8 games this year. You know what I'm saying? So what about the other 8 or 9 games? You know what I'm saying? Where you were probably giving up yards, but you ain't quite turning that ball over. You know what I'm saying? So it was things like that, but you can't take that away. A playmaker is a playmaker, and he definitely was getting his hands on balls. And if I'm not mistaken, he had about maybe two or three that returned for touchdowns. Maybe they were from recovery.
Oh yeah, that year, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, he had. I want to say probably at least 3.
Yeah,
I want to say I think closer to 3.
So yeah. you can't teach that. You know what I'm saying? You can't teach that. But I think a lot of that in his rookie year was him transitioning from the college game to what we see today. I think that a lot of that had to do with that transition and him still learning to play the position. This past year, we saw him step into that a little bit more. We saw him with a little bit more discipline. We saw him, be more in phase with routes and not trying to play hooky all the time to get those turnovers and, cause those turnovers and fumbles and interceptions. We saw him just play flat out good coverage. You know what I'm saying? So the reason I got him a little higher than a guy like Jair Alexander is because I think this is the year we see him put both of those together. The year that he had last year and the year that he had the year before that, he put those together, and now we're going to see top-notch Trayvon Diggs, the Trayvon Diggs that we think he's fully capable of, the one that can go get these turnovers, but also the one that can go just still be locked down at the same time. If we can get that, put those together, man, this guy's easily could be in the conversation of a top 2 or 3 corner in the league. You know what I'm saying? Just with his ability, his ball skills, because like you said, he played receiver. So hands not a problem. He's catching. You know what I'm saying? The ball, if it's in his because he was a receiver, he's not looking to bat the ball down. He's looking to catch the ball. He's looking to that ball is to him.
Oh, that's mine. Yeah.
No, I'm the receiver here. I'm used to doing it. Yeah. So that's what he's looking for. And if he can put those 2 seasons together in terms of what he transitioned to and what he learned during the second season versus all the turnovers and that he got just playing freely, using his instincts and learning how to bait. Oh man, shit. Watch out. It could be up from here. You know what I'm saying? It could be up
Mhm.
from there. And you probably wondering like, all right, how do you get above a guy like Jair Alexander? I think putting those things together puts him there because yeah, he can cover, but he can go get those turnovers too. And I don't think Jair Alexander is a guy that's gonna get you as many turnovers as a guy like Trayvon Diggs can potentially do. So that's why I got Trayvon Diggs at my number 6 spot over Jair Alexander at my number 7 spot, man.
Yeah, I can't get on board with that one at all, man.
That's
I
cool.
can't get on
That's
board with
cool.
that one at all.
You ain't got to, Willie Jack. It's all good.
Man.
That's why I said, man, this could be a great corner group. And once we look hindsight after
Oh,
2023.
man. I mean, but Alexander has good ball skills, though. I mean, he hasn't had 11, but 11 is an outlier type of stat. I mean, it's hard to, you know what I mean? What, Trayvon Diggs and Xavier Howard, the only guys to go 10 or more interceptions in probably the last 10 years, 15 years.
I think he's fully capable of sitting around like 7 or 8. You know what I'm saying? Marcus, your boy Marcus Peters, when he's fully healthy and playing full season, he usually sticks around that range. You know, 6 or 7.
No, not that. That's a lot of interceptions, bro. Not that many. Like 5 interceptions is a good season. Like
No,
like
five interceptions is a good season.
like that's a good season. Like yeah, that's oh no man, because he's still not sticky though. Like Jair Alexander is sticky. You know what I mean? Like man, I don't know, man. He sits in boys' pockets, man. I don't know.
No, he does.
But no, we'll talk about Jair Alexander a little here in a little bit. You know, you're on my list for sure.
All right, well, who you got at number 6 then? Talk to me.
So now number 6 for me, man, this is where I'm going to project just a little bit. Chop can tell y'all, man, I was super high on this guy coming in the draft, man. My dog, man, I was so disappointed he got hurt.
I'm going to put it up for you.
Yeah, oh yeah, Chop knows who's coming, man. That was one of my regrets for the season. Like, damn, man, my dog had to get hurt. He didn't get to do what he's supposed to do. J.C. Horn, y'all see what my dog Chop just did, man. Come on, man. You want to talk about some dog now. You want to talk about some, you know what I'm saying, some big bark. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about a little bite. You know what I mean? That's J.C. Horn, man. I'm so like I said, man, upset for him that he had to miss his rookie year. Bounce back super strong this second year, though. Now, on a team that wasn't that didn't do necessarily as well. We know the story of their season. They were competitive, though. All the changes, everything that happened, the interim coach change, you send out your best player in Chris McCaffrey. You got a merry-go-round at quarterback with guys that nobody really wanted in the. So with all that aside, they still found a way to compete. Mainly so because of the strength of that defense. And this is a young guy, man. It was his sophomore season, but for all intents and purposes, man, a rookie year for him because he missed all this rookie year. And J.C. Horn, this is a guy that he's got characteristics of some guys that I've already talked about. So he's aggressive, especially aggressive at the line, super aggressive with his hands. He'll stick his nose in there, kind of like a guy like Marlon Humphrey. But I think he's a better athlete than Marlon Humphrey is. I don't know as far as pure speed, but I think he's longer as far as just his build. I think he's got better length, especially arm length. I know his vertical was nuts. I want to say he was a 40-inch vertical guy. Man, I really enjoyed his film, man. And so going forward to this next year, I think this last year was a very good start for him. Going forward to this next year, I think he's going to be a guy knocking right there on the door for top 5 as far as just what the guys are going to be in this 2023 season. And so that's why I've got him right here at 6. I didn't feel right calling him top 5 with 1 year of good play, but not spectacular play. He didn't set the world on fire. You know what I mean? Like, there was, well, I don't even want to say that. I don't want to take away from what he did. It was very competent play, very good play. And especially from a guy who's, like I said, whose arrow is only pointing up. Like I said, hopefully he stays healthy and doesn't have to deal with this again. But this is a guy for me that he's at 6 right now. This time next year, man, he could be at 3. He can be top 3. I would say. I think there's the guys that are going to sit around the top, man. Those seats are going to be. It's going to be pretty hard to get one of those guys out their seat, man. But I think he could definitely be in that mix, man, at 2, 3, or 4 here pretty soon. But I've got him here at 6 for me right now.
Okay, and I like that pick, Willie Jack. I do like J.C. Horn, man. I got a chance to really watch him and watch a lot of his film this past year, and yeah, man, I think he has some really, really good potential, man. Extreme athlete, you know what I'm saying, and he has all the tools, man. He has all the tools to be a top corner in this league for years to come. Actually, you know what I'm saying? When you look at his athletic ability and all the things he brings to the table, you know what I'm saying? Size and everything. So I ain't mad at you, Willie Jack. I ain't mad at what you on that one, man. So come on with it then. Come on back around and give me your top 5.
Now, number 5 for me, man. This is where I got my dog Marshawn Lattimore, man. I got Lattimore at 5.
Okay.
Like I say, it was a short season for him last year, but I anticipate he's coming back healthy. Excuse me, whole and healthy again. He's still a guy who's he's 27. I want to say he's around 27. I don't even think he's 28. I think he's somewhere around 27 if I had to guess. And so he's still got good years, good gas left in that tank. And kind of we talked about it a little bit, man. Y'all know what's going on with me and Lattimore, man. So just similar to JC Horn, or I should give JC Horn this compliment, kind of like I was talking about with Chop. If you told me a guy's got to sit in somebody's pocket for 60 plays, there's a short list of guys that honestly I would feel comfortable for all 60 of these plays sitting this man front pocket. Marshawn Lattimore's on that list. JC Horn is the type of guy that I think is going to be on that list, and he's a young guy, and so it'd be more reach or projection to say that. But that's the esteem I hold JC Horn in, is that I think he can be that style of player, like a Lattimore, man, aggressive. I don't mind if a guy talk, man, as long as he out there backing it up, man. So go ahead, man, make a play, let them know about it. Don't bother me. Like I said, when people used to complain about Deion Sanders, the coach Glanville from the Falcons, everybody complained about Deion always dancing. He was like, look, he only danced after he scored touchdowns. If y'all ain't let him score, he wouldn't dance. You know what I'm saying? Or high step. You know what I mean? So, hey, go out there and make your play, man, and do what you got to do. So that doesn't never scare me away from a player. But now Lattimore for me, man, a very good player. Shows up on big stages. Mike Evans is a guy who everybody loves to throw around. He's had 8 consecutive, or maybe it's 9 now, 8 or 9 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, the model of consistency, etc. Man, look here. That man got his lunch took on national television and lost his whole marbles because he dove in that man's back. He took a 15-yard head start, dove in that man's back. Man, it made me lose respect for Mike Evans watching it happen. I was like, man, hold on, man. Hey, man, you better than that. You know what I'm saying? Run that man fade if you want to, but you can't do it like that, man. That made me lose respect because Marshawn Lattimore was not only taking his lunch on TV, but let him know about it. It's just like my dog Chop was saying. So really enjoy his game as well.
Gotcha. Well, Jack, hey, and I wouldn't expect anything different, man. That's your boy. You know what I'm saying? So you got to match your number 5 spot. He ain't quite that high for me because from 5 on up, man, actually from 7 on up, I got some guys that's different. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, they different in their own way.
Oh, we
different in their own way. So we definitely gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about some of these guys. And the first one I'm gonna talk about. This is another guy you already had on your list, and I got him a little higher, man. I'm going Tariq Woolen. Okay, Tariq Woolen. Now, like I said, man, this is 2023. That's what we talking about. That's what we projected. His rookie year had one of the best seasons that The crazy part. Here's the crazy part. He had one of the best seasons we've seen for a rookie cornerback, ever. And there's a guy that came out in the same draft that had a better season than him. Now, we're going to talk about him, of course. We'll get to that. But Tariq Woolen, man, when you talk about okay, I'm going to say this. To me, the most gifted corner on this list in terms of his size and athletic ability combination. We're talking about 6'4", 205 pounds. Come on, man. 6'4", 205. He ran a 4.26 at the combine. This was official. This wasn't the hand time that we were talking about the year before, or the COVID year. He ran a 4.26 official laser, 42-inch vertical. You know what I'm saying? Physically, you can't beat him. There's no advantage you have. You're not going to outrun him. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, you're not going to be bigger than him. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be taller than him. You can't out-jump him. Where are you going to beat him at? You know what I'm saying? How can you beat him if you got to see him physically out there on that island? You know what I'm saying? You just by yourself. And you got to be a dog. There's no way that you can beat him unless you're a straight dog. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, he tied for the league interceptions. He has ball skills. Sometimes, other times you see a big clumsy guy that ain't got to get big ball skills. Jamel Dean over there with the Tampa Bay Bucks. He's a tall corner. You know what I'm saying? Not a bad corner. You know what I'm saying? Definitely above average corner, but a lot of guys don't have that type of. You can't put all that together. If you were building a corner in a laboratory, you would build Tariq Woolen. That's who you would build, and you would, whatever your attributes is, you would put them all up on speed and all the stuff that he has. You know what I'm saying? So I think with Tariq Woolen, we're looking at a guy who is going to be special. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, man. This guy gonna be special, and I think he's gonna start this upcoming year. I don't think that this first year was a fluke. I think he's gonna continue to be better, and I also think it has a lot to do with him being in Seattle and then coach and those coaches. Pete Carroll, man, has a knack for this. He ain't just.
I know he knows exactly what to do. Yeah,
it wasn't no coincidence. He drafted. He ended up getting Richard Sherman and and Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and Brandon Bowner. And put that team together. And now we're looking at a Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, Jamal Adams, and like that ain't they different over there. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Tariq Woolen is going to continue to be better, and I think he enters that conversation like, oh man, he legit. He's a top 5 guy, and he has the athletic ability to go with it. So that's why I got him as high as I had him, Willie Jack. I know you had him at your 10 spot. That's why I got my number 5 spot, because I think that with his athletic ability compared with just his skill set, he's going to get better. He's not in the hip pocket like you say all the time, but I think he's going to get better. They're going to coach him up, you know what I'm saying, and he's not going to have to use that athletic ability as much as he has to use it as of right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going to go. Like I said, the athleticism, size and athleticism for sure are definitely there. Just like you said, man, if you build them in the lab, man, it's hard to argue with not building this guy. He's as fast as anybody in the league. He can jump as high as anybody in the league. He's as taller than anybody at the position. He's got an even, lean build. So he checks all those boxes. But I don't know, man. 5 is a little high, though. He's got to take several steps forward as far as just like refining his actual like coverage technique. You know what I mean? Because guys can break him off. You know what I'm saying? At this point, now, like I say, it's a 5th round rookie from a small school as well. And so just seeing what he's accomplished even in this year is spectacular for sure. But I think that's the reason why I couldn't put him as high. But everything what you're saying, though, I agree with. I think this is a guy that's got all the potential in the world. He's got those things you can't teach. You can't teach 6'4", 200 pounds. You can't teach 4'2", 6". You can't teach 40 twins vertical. You can't teach 6 interceptions as a rookie because I got ball skills. So if that's what we got to start with, then everything else from there is going to be gravy. You know what I'm saying? So if we get him to think his hips or play under more control or just all the other things that the other nuances of the position, then yeah, just like my dog Chop said, man, the sky's the limit for a guy like that. So I can't be mad at you.
Absolutely. And it's funny, Willie Jack, because you said it's funny, you mentioned the guy's name a little earlier, man. And you told me he had top 3 potential. You know what I'm saying? And I told you, man, I got your back a little bit, man. Mm-hmm. And I was real close, Willie Jack. I was real close, but I couldn't do it to my guy, man. Okay. I got J.C. Horn in my number 4 spot, man.
Ooh, my dog.
Going into this 2023 season, okay? And let me tell you why. So, one, I already told you, Tariq Woolen, to me, is the most gifted cornerback, you know what I'm saying, on this list and possibly in the NFL. J.C. Horn is right there, right after him, you know what I mean, in terms of his size and athletic ability combination. In my opinion, he didn't run the 40 or participate in a lot of the combine activities, but on film, he looks like a 4'3" guy, 4'3", 4'4" guy. He's 6'1", 205, 40-inch vertical, and that his vertical easily shows on screen. The boy jumps out the gym. You know what I'm saying? So I for sure think he's a 40-inch vertical type guy. But he has a few more skills than that Tariq Woolen guy. You know what I'm saying? A guy that, like we talked about, he can play just off his athletic ability. J.C. Horn has the ability to do that, but he also has the skill and the technique to not have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So he can play both man and zone. No, that doesn't matter what coverage you put him in. And in fact, he played a lot of that 3 zone over in Carolina. And with him playing that type of zone, it allowed him to use his instincts, which he has some of the best instincts in the league at cornerback. When I watched and broke down his film, you would see him on multiple plays where he'd be covering an outside guy and break a route on the inside guy. You know,
he definitely didn't close on at least 3 interceptions for sure. That could come to mind for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to me, the skill set that he shows reminds me of a guy that can be the type of cornerback that shut down the side of the field. You know what I'm saying? When you make plays like that's what separates the good corners from the great corners. When you can sit out there, you have your assignment, you have your guy right here, but you also got this number two receiver running the route doing whatever he's doing. But be able to make a play off of your assignment and go make a play on another one. He got like an interception or something like that on a number 2 receiver, and his assignment was
I know the play. It was a smash route. He fell off the
hitch. He fell off the hitch. Yeah, he came back off of that corner and went to go get that pick. You know what I'm saying? And should have had a pick 6 if the boy wasn't sloppy footed. You know what I'm saying? So those are the type of plays that he makes, man. And he, like I said, he has the ability to possibly shut down a side of the field. You know what I mean? To be labeled as a, you know what I'm saying, a shutdown guy. You know what I'm saying? Even playing zone or man. So I like this skill set. I like what he brings to the table. I know that's he is Willie Jack's guy. You know, and I was real close to going ahead and sparking this list up, man, and put him in my number 3 spot, man. But I was like, you know what, I can't do that because my next guy that I'm gonna talk about, you know, whenever it comes back around to me, is he's legit too. He legit too. So JC Horn, he's my number 4 guy, man.
No, and like I said, man, I can't be mad about it at all, man. Like I said, I think highly of him, just like my dog said. But like I said, man, I feel like I gave him some respect, man. But at the same time, man, I didn't want to completely just overshadow guys that have, you know what I'm saying? They didn't put it on paper, man. They didn't put it on film.
But see, that's the beauty of this, Willie Jack. It's because it's projections. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But those, I don't expect those guys to get terribly worse, though. You know what I mean? Like, I still expect those guys to ball.
No, yeah, but even with that being said, some guys step into the mix. It's a guy I know you got on your list that you definitely ain't projecting to be on this list when we started the 2022 season.
It's right. I mean, I don't lie. It's probably already.
That's the beauty of it. Sometimes you just gotta you take a shot, man, and I'm taking my shots, man.
Yeah. I ain't mad at that one.
That's why. Just in case y'all missed the last episode, Jay Herb is your 2023 NFL MVP.
Man, I had to try to remember who for y'all that might not be remember. Jellyfish Justin. That's what you talking about, man. Oh, Jellyfish Justin, man, and in LA, man, he gonna get it together this year, man. If y'all listen to my dog chat. But like I said, man, I ain't mad at that at all, man. JC, I definitely think JC is quickly going to be a guy that jumps full-fledged in the ring with these other those other 2 young guys that a lot of people have at the top, and he's going to really make it real hard for guys to tell him why he doesn't need to sit in that room as well. So I can't wait to see it myself also. And is it on me for or is it on you?
Give me your number 4, okay. Dog. Give me your 4.
Now this next name, man, was probably the most difficult name to place on this list for me. This is where I have Jalen Ramsey. And so I hope he's still on your list because I know the things that people say. I know that people talk about the decline in his game, and I'm paraphrasing now, you know what I mean? But I know people talk about he's lost a step or he's lost he's came down off his high because he for a while was a guy that was at the peak of the position. But I still think even Jalen Ramsey today, last year may have been his worst year or one of his worser years in recent memory for sure, I'd say. But Jalen Ramsey is a guy for me. He was that prototype of like this generation. He was a guy, he was 6'1" or 6'2" when he came in. He was 200. He was a little heavier. He was probably closer to 205, 210. You know what I mean? He ran a legit 4.3. He had a vertical. I don't know if he was vertical was 40, but it was a respectable. I would imagine it's somewhere 35 or so. So as far as just like my dog Chop was talking about Tyreek Woolen, if you're building a cornerback at this time, Jalen Ramsey was the guy you would have built. He still may be that guy because he's if you're starting with his mold, he is more technically refined, especially when he got to the league and came in than a guy like Tyreek Woolen and et cetera. And, he almost stepped in from day one and was a guy that was in the hip pocket of your favorite number 1 receiver and kind of rode that out for the next 6 years or so. You know what I mean? And so I think while his play has slipped a tad or it has declined a tad, he's also asked to do things that no other cornerback in the league is asked to do. You know what I mean? And so even his last couple of years here in LA with the Rams, he was a glorified slot corner. He was a strong safety that played man. I mean, there were a lot of responsibilities and alignments that he was in that were similar to how the Chargers used Derwin James. You know what I mean? And so that's literally the things they ask him to do. And so he's doing things that there's just not guys on this list that can do it, or if they do it, they couldn't do it as well, because he's a phenomenal tackler. He is sticky in man. He's got good ball skills. You know what I'm saying? And so now he's been beat, etc. But I tell you, the way I hear people talk about Jalen Ramsey now is like when they talk about Jordan with the Wizards. Like, well, okay, yeah, but he's 38 now, bro. You know what I'm saying? He retired twice. He came back. Like, don't take away Chicago, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know what I mean? I just feel like people are just going way too hard on Jalen Ramsey. It's like, bro, dog, man, it's Jalen Ramsey. You know what I'm saying? He's still that guy, and I'm excited to see what he looks like now going to Miami. I imagine he's going to be on the outside. Miami's already got a young slot guy. I can't never think his name is a different name, could do something. But he was very good for them in the slot last year. They're going to pair him up with Xavier Howard. He's going back outside. Vic Fangio's coming in to run that defense. Man, y'all know, got love for Vic Fangio, man, for his days with those Niners and Patrick Willis and those defenses. And so I'm curious to see what that looks like. Vic, I'm assuming Vic Fangio, he's probably going to run more of like what we were talking about with Darius Slay and Philly this last year. It's more of a shell, more of a cover 4 look. And so it's going to, I think it's going to cover up some of the things that we've seen maybe as far as Jalen Ramsey maybe losing a step here or there, and allow him to play, like I said, play more on the outside, play more with his eyes, on the ball. And it's going to, I imagine they're going to take a little off his plate and let him just get back to just being a great corner. I think what ended up happening, and he was able to keep up with it for a while, is we asked him to be a great corner. We also asked him to be a great nickel corner. We also asked him to be a great box safety. We also asked him to be a great blitzer. We asked him to be a great spy, man. They've got him spying quarterbacks. Why isn't he covering somebody 30 yards? I mean, so there's just so many things that he's able to do because of his talent and ability. And I think after a while, like I said, man, we all get 5 times undefeated. You know what I mean? We all get half a step slower, half a step less agile, less quick, and that's all it takes in this league. You know what I mean? And so it looks like, and I hate to use the word exposed, but still a great player, still a phenomenal player. And I think he definitely has a bounce back season going to Miami now and playing in a role that's going to just allow him to just be great at what he is great at naturally, and that's just playing outside cornerback.
Gotcha. And I like the spot that you got him at, Willie Jack. I still think he's kind of spoiler alert for me, letting y'all know. I still think he's a top 5 corner in this league. And to be truthful, I am one of the guys who, was a little hard on him. One, he played on my team, you know what I'm saying? So it's certain things I expect, but then it's also certain things that I value a little bit more. So we'll get into that a little bit too. He's on my list, and I'll jump into some of the reasons. And I just want to, I'll make sure I clarify everything in terms of my thoughts and everything on Jalen Ramsey, you know what I'm saying, whenever I get to it too. So I'll definitely jump into that. But go ahead and jump into your number 3 really quick, Willie Jack, and I'll come right back there.
Now, number 3 for me, this is where I got Jair Alexander.
I figured that's where you had him, man.
Bro, I think, was it 2 years ago where I was telling you going into the season 2 years ago, I was like, bro, Jair Alexander might be the best corner in football. And this
you said yes, you said it is what you said.
I said, bro, like I thought he was going to challenge Ramsey for that number 1 spot, bro. Like I just really like his game, man. He's not the biggest guy. He's probably 5'10" or so. I would say he's probably 5'10" and change. Now he's solid built. He's probably about 190 pounds or so. I don't think he's 200 pounds, but he's probably about 190 pounds. But loved him coming in. I think he was my top corner. If he wasn't number 1, he was number 2. But I think he came out of Louisville, if I'm remembering. I loved his game.
Louisville.
Okay, yeah. Man, that was a good-ass corner class, man. I'm trying to remember who else is in that class, because the top 2 corners in that one were is that Denzel Ward's year? I wonder. Oh, if you don't mind, Go ahead.
I'll come back to you.
Yeah, that was a stacked corner class that year, if I'm remembering right. But if he wasn't my number 1, he was my number 2. I think if he was in there with Denzel Ward, he may have been 2 to Denzel Ward. Like one of them was coming out of Ohio State, one of them was coming out of Louisville, and Ward is still a dog. It was still super nice in his own right. He had a off year this last year. Anyway, besides the point, Jair Alexander for me, and I'm glad he had the season he had this year. because it was a little bit of a bounce back season from 2 years ago because he was a little banged up. He was a little injured. I think he missed some time 2 years ago. So comes back this year, like my dog Chop said, has 5 interceptions, completely dominates Justin Jefferson. If we didn't necessarily give Darius Slay the full flowers and his full appreciation for his performance against Justin Jefferson, Jair Alexander ain't had none of that. Jair Alexander went out there and just had that Jettas pack. He just balled. He just,
absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't, there wasn't nothing, ain't no extras on that, what he did. It was a phenomenal game. And just like my dog Chop told y'all, and like I already told y'all as well, I don't mind. Let him know what he's going to do and he went and did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, hey, look, oh, he the best in the business? Yeah, come see me. Yeah, I ain't going to be hard to find. I'll be right in your chin strap, buddy. And that's where he was. You know what I'm saying? So, phenomenal player. That's why I couldn't believe how low for me, pound for pound, play for play, I think he's super sticky in man coverage. The Packers were super zone heavy this year anyway. And so it was a lot more I think it was a lot more zone coverage for sure. And we see how he responded because, like I said, he career high in interceptions with 5 this year, had a phenomenal game against Justin Jefferson. And this year is evidence as well that he can be just as dominant in zone versus man. Because in man, I feel comfortable with him matching up with just most anybody. You know what I mean? So very all around corner. I just can't. It's hard for me to find holes in his game. Like I like his feet. I like his transitions. I like his ball skills. Like I like his sticky coverage ability. Like I say, he has the eyes for zone as well. He's got some, like I say, he's got a little dog in him. You know what I'm saying? He's feisty. I just can't find real holes in his game outside of just things like, okay, well, I wish he was 2 inches taller. You know what I mean? Things like that. But outside of that, man, it's just hard for me to find holes in his game. And so I'm a big fan of his. But yeah, Jair Alexander comes in at number 3.
Gotcha. And I ain't mad at that one either, Willie Jack. I ain't mad at that one either. Of course, I gave y'all my talk about Jair Alexander, so I say that, man. Rewind real quick if y'all want to hear me talk about Jair Alexander. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and rewind it. But I ain't mad at you though, Willie Jack. And this is where I go at number 3. Number 3, this is where I go Jalen Ramsey, okay? And let me go ahead and explain myself a little bit in terms of what I feel about Jalen Ramsey. First and foremost, let's get this out of the way. Jalen Ramsey is a phenomenal corner. There's not a corner in the league that can do what he does. That's why I got him at number 3. The number 3 corner league. He's a top 5 corner. He's an elite corner. He's a top tier corner. Let's get that straight. You know what I'm saying? So when I say the things that I say, I want y'all to understand where I'm coming from and don't take it and run with it and act like I'm saying that he's bad or he's not good or whatever the case may be. He's an elite corner. You know what I'm saying? But it's for the things that he does. And there's certain things I disagree with you on a little bit, Willie Jack. And one of those things was his season last year. I think he had a great season last year. I think he was on a bad team, but I think he had a great season because he did a lot of the things that we're normally used to seeing him doing. First and foremost, Jalen Ramsey is an all-pro corner, but can easily be an all-pro safety. He can play any defensive back position and be one of the best in the league at it. You know what I'm saying? No matter where you put him. Free, strong, you know what I'm saying, corner. And of course, he played a lot of nickel. You put him anywhere on the field, he's going to make an impact on the game. He's going to be around the ball. You know what I'm saying? We already know he'll hit you in the mouth. He's a phenomenal tackler. You know what I'm saying? And I like to bring up one of the plays. And so I find it's so fascinating and amazing to me when I watch him play. It was a play. It may have been against the 49ers where he was taking on like a 320-pound offensive lineman, maybe a tackle or guard. I don't know. They coming at him full speed and they pulling. And it's just him, that offensive lineman, and whoever has the ball. The guy takes on the block. He doesn't. Most corners, they taking steps back or they gonna ankle bite or whatever the case may be. He didn't do that. What he did was he took it on, not head on, put his head in his chest.
You got to blow up the puller though. Yeah, I know you're talking about. It was Niners. Did you say Niners?
It may have been the Niners.
I think it was the Niners. Yeah.
Ducked under the block and was still there, made the tackle for like a 2-yard gain, 1-yard gain, something like that. And I was like, and I remember I posted right after that and I said, that's the type of play. There's not a cornerback in the league that can make that play. Not one. I don't care what team you go to. There's not one corner that will make that play. Only Jalen Ramsey can make that play. And those are the parts of his game that makes him, to me, great. that makes him Hall of Fame level type player. You know what I'm saying? It's those type of plays. Now, as far as his coverage, in my opinion, I don't think he's ever been like an elite cover guy, but I think he's always been a good cover guy. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why is because, and me and Willie Jack talked about this, when we watch him play on a play for play, even when he's had to follow receivers, the best in the game, you know, it was more times, well, not more times than not, but you know, a little too often, maybe more often than some of your guys that are the true cover guys. He would get beat, or he would lose his guy because of his eyes, or because of his technique, or relying too much on his athletic ability because he's a 4'3" guy that's big as well. You know what I'm saying? He was the guy that you built in the lab before, you know, we seen the Tariq Woolen come in the league. You know what I'm saying? So it was those type of things that for me, I value a little bit more. Like we were a missed Aaron Donald block away from Jamar Chase running up the sideline to win the Super Bowl against the Rams a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? Because of his eyes and because he's just getting caught in the middle of no man's land. And in my opinion, as a premier corner in the league, those are things that you can't do. You know what I'm saying? And that's, like I said, that's my opinion. Those things that I value, and that's not taking away anything from his ability as a corner overall. The guy is an elite Hall of Fame level type player. He's 28 years old. He's going over to Miami. He's going to have a great season there as well. You know what I'm saying? But there are certain things that I feel like I prefer and value a little bit more over, you know, other things. But man, the guy is tremendous. He's a tremendous talent. Like I said, he's a Hall of Fame level type player. You know, but those are the type of things that I saw in his game that I was like, it worries you. Because one play can cost you a game. We know that. You know what I'm saying? One play, a missed tackle. You know, we got other players that are out there. Mm-hmm. You know, they can help you out. You on your own in coverage. One blown coverage can blow the game. You get what I'm saying? That's a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? That's At least other players have a chance for that. So that's why I was as hard on him. And of course, like I said, Willie Jack, I'm a Rams fan. So when I'm watching the game and I see these things, I'm like, come on, dog. We can't have it. Come on, Jalen. But then all the rest of the game, he's making great plays. He's around the ball. He's doing all these things. He's, you know, messing with Golden Tate's, you know, slamming him. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of stuff he does. I was finna mess around.
Yeah, go ahead, get out of there. Yeah,
but that's it. And I want to make sure I explain it to you because I know me and you went back and forth on Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, man, you was going pretty hard, man. Look, you was completely out on Jalen for a while there, but I was like, man, golly. But I'm glad you just now that you just stepped away from it, man. It was mid-season, things was ugly for y'all, man. So I'm glad to see you was able to step away and give it some real perspective, man. Because like I said, man, Jalen Ramsey, bro. But I just like to say this. It's hard to say, man. There's a guy more well-rounded and more. He's great at more things. Like a lot of guys are good at 4 things, they're great at 1. I think Jalen is really great at 4 things. You know what I mean? And then he's really good at the other. You know what I'm saying? If we're breaking down all the aspects of
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think he really was a special player, man. And so I'm just glad to see that he didn't. I didn't know. Man, when he didn't come up in like from 7 to 10, I was like, oh man, he might have left Ramsey off his list. So I wasn't sure where he was going, man.
But that was one thing. That's one thing I always wanted to say. I don't know when you in the heat of discussions and stuff like that. Sometimes things get missed. That's what I always say. Like, he's still a top 5 corner, no doubt. Like easily, he's a top 5 corner. But these are just the things that I'm just not a fan of. But let me go and jump into my number 2, Willie Jack. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go with my boy from Denver, man, and this is one of my guys. This is one of the guys I was high on coming into the draft, and I think it was 2020 or 2021.
Was that 2020? Yeah, I think just 2 years.
2021 because he played 21. Yeah, so he was one of the guys I was high on. He was my number 1 corner coming out in the draft. You know what I'm saying? I'm going Patrick Surtain, man. Patrick Surtain. Okay. Now, in my opinion, he is the most technically sound corner in the league right now. You know what I'm saying? You can tell he works a lot of his craft. His footwork is very good, very sound footwork, keeps good balance. You know what I'm saying? And in 2 years, he's already established himself not only as one of the best, but one of the least targeted corners in the league. You know what I'm saying? Like in just his second year, teams don't even target him as much. And he's in the division with guys like Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen, guys that get those type of targets. You know what I'm saying? So he's one of the most least targeted guys in the league, and he just sound with his coverage. He's there. He has good size. So he's not the most athletic. He's not a 4.3 guy, 4.2 guy like some of the other guys that are on our list.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But he has the good enough speed and technique to put him in position to where he needs to be in order for him to be successful in this league. And it showed, you know what I'm saying, taking on whoever he needed to take on, you know what I'm saying, this past year, duking it out with Devontae Adams, you know what I'm saying, for a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? Those were tremendous matchups.
Very good matchups.
Watch them go at it. And in those matchups, that showed me a lot too. It showed me like, yeah, I'm a young buck in this league. Devontae Adams, you've been here, you know what I'm saying? But I'm a competitive guy. I ain't ducking no wreck. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you one of the top guys, but hey, I'm nice too. You know what I'm saying? And in fact, I'm one of the nicest. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go at it. We're gonna do this thing. We're gonna see who comes out on top. You know what I'm saying? So man, he comes in, he does his thing. Really, really good football player. One of my favorite football players. Definitely my favorite corner in the NFL as of right now. And man, I just like to see him do his thing. I think he's gonna be good for some years. We're talking about a potential, another potential all timer too. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because you don't see many. If there's a good player in the league, like if he's good or above average, a lot of times when the seed comes along, he's usually not as good as the father or whatever the case may be. He might be on his way to being better. So I got Patrick Surtain in my number 2 spot, man.
No, you know what, man? I'm surprised. I thought he was going to be number 1 for you, and so I'm surprised.
He was right there. The reason I didn't is because the completion percentage against him wasn't what I thought it would have been. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? In comparison to a lot of corners in the league. So I took that into consideration, and I was like, all right, man, forget it. I'm just gonna go and do it. I'm gonna go and do it. So Patrick Surtain, man, he's my number 2 guy. And you're right, Willie Jack. When I first made the list, he was number 1.
Yeah.
But when I really started doing my research, I was like, this ain't making sense. When I talk about this on camera, it ain't gonna make sense. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna come together like I wanted to. So I got him on my number 2 spot.
Yeah, no, I ain't mad at you as well because that surprise, man. Pat Surtain is also in my number 2 spot. So we right on time, man. And everything that my dog Chop just said, man, pretty much applies for me as well. And so supreme technician for sure. And just like my dog Chop said, he's his second year. He's one of the most respected guys at the position. And I think I would say, man, it'd be hard pressed to find someone who studies or knows the game or watches the game or pay, you know what I mean? Who wouldn't? It'd be hard to say he's not a top 2 corner in this league. Top 2. I don't even know. Like if you've got him at 3, I'm like, man, hold on, man. It might be one of your guys in your top 3 is off. I think he's the guy. Like I think he's a guy. If everybody gets there's 2 starters at corner. Well, 3 these days, but nickel, but 2 primary starters. If everybody's building a roster, he's got one of those spots. That's how I feel as well. And so, no, I agree with everything you said there. I think especially the way he started the season as well. He came out on fire. I think he did slow down and temper off a little bit as the season wore on. But yet and still, like my dog said, he's got great size. He's got great pedigree. His dad was a Pro Bowl level corner for the Dolphins. Pat Surtain Sr. Was it the Dolphins? I think his daddy played for the Dolphins.
No, he was Dolphins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Sam Madison, they paired with each other.
There you go. I was trying to think who else was on that team. So like just like my dog Chop said, man, the apple didn't fall too far from the tree, and so he stepped in and is on his way to being a phenomenal player in this league, man. So I agree completely. And then I guess it sounds like we probably gonna have the same number 1 guy. I guess I get the first crack at it.
Makes sense. I guess we can tag team it.
Hey, there we go, man. Number 1, man, for your dog and my dog Chop as well, man. Sauce Gardner, man. Sauce Gardner. Put some respect on the young man's name. First off, when you come to the league and your name is Sauce,
that's it.
Not only was his name Sauce when he came to the league, his name was Sauce when he came to the league from Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? He didn't come in like Jalen Ramsey did from Florida State. They was calling him Baby Dion. You know what I'm saying? Like he came in like he was a name, a known entity. He was a guy that they were counting down the days till he goes to the league. Him and Derwin James both at Florida State. Guys are just like, man, damn, it's a damn shame. We gotta wait 2 years for Jalen to go to the league. Like that's how he came in. And he came in brash and he came in cocky and all those type of things. Sauce came in with that same level of confidence, but he did it coming from Cincinnati. And so a mid-major, he doesn't play, he doesn't play Alabama and Ole Miss, Auburn. Like he doesn't see those teams every week. You know what I mean? And so even as good as as great as he was, there were still questions like, man, does it translate? Like, is it really going to translate? You know what I mean? Is he going to go out there and is he going to be able to strap Stephon Diggs in his own division? Is he going to be able to hang with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and just in his own division? And so there was tons of questions about this guy. And if you ask me, he answered every one. He's got great size. Well, he's got great length. So he's what, 6'1" or so.
6'3".
He's not
6'3".
Is he that big?
6'3".
I was about to say 6'1" or 6'2".
He's 190. He's 190.
Yeah. I didn't know he was that big. I didn't realize he was that big. I was gonna say like 6'1", maybe right under 6'2", like a big 6'1". You know, like I was gonna give him maybe 6'3". Really? Okay. He's bigger than I thought. But in 190, and honestly, that's a pretty solid build, or it sounds pretty solid. 6'3", I probably would like him closer to 2 because he is lean. He's lean, a lean built guy. But or wiry is the right word because he's not weak at all. You know what I mean? So he's very aggressive at the line of scrimmage. He can be very aggressive in his press. He can stay in your pocket. Has excellent fight at the catch point. He's got good recovery speed. And so he's another guy where even day one since he stepped on the field, it's just hard to argue, man. He's another guy that gets a lot of hate. Like when looking into this and seeing comments and hearing people talk, it's like, I don't know what guys are looking at. What are y'all looking at? Like, what more do you want the man to do? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what else he needs to do. And this is his first step. This is ground one. This is the foundation. Yeah. It's only getting better. He's only adding to the house. You know what I mean? So we've talked about a lot of young guys, how we expect them to progress in this league. We talked about Tyreek Woolen, who Chop expects to take a massive step forward. I talked about Trayvon Diggs, who we both talked about Trayvon Diggs. We expect to continue to take forwards the way that they've steps forward the way they've taken. Nobody on this list has been this good this early and still has so much more room to grow and just mature as a player. You know what I'm saying? And so it's scary just imagining the trajectory that he's on and seeing just how far he can really go and man, really be one of these special names, man, for this generation. And so, for me, my list started Sauce, Surtain, Alexander Ramsey every time I made a list. So, like, I had those 4 guys in the first 4 spots. Every list I made, I just couldn't get away for those 4. And then 5 through 10, I had some mixing and some matching. But Sauce and Surtain for me at 1 and 2 was concrete. You know what I mean? I took a little second and thought about Alexander and Ramsey. I went Alexander because, like I said, I think going forward, we have seen, Jalen Ramsey, maybe he's taking a half a step back. You know what I'm saying? And Alexander is coming off of probably his best year. And so I think the momentum for me was Alexander over Ramsey, which is how it felt for me. But 1 and 2 were never in doubt for me, man. Sauce and Surtain, I think they got to have those top spots.
For sure. And they definitely had those top spots. It was just about who was going to get the number 1 spot for me. So I ended up falling through with Sauce, man. And you heard the talks about, people, like you said, the people that were hating or people saying, I don't know, he's a rookie. But let me tell you something about the cornerback position, man. The cornerback position is not a position where we see guys just fall off. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're good at corner, you usually come back and be good again. You know what I'm saying? This is not I don't know. I'm trying to think of a name of somebody who was just good for 1 year. You know, fell off. Like Ezekiel Elliott fell off. It wasn't good for 1 year, but
it went 1 year though. Ezekiel had 3 years though.
No, I'm saying he had 3 years, but like it's not like he was old or anything like that. No, Zeke just for some reason got bad as a football player. Another name you always tell me about this name, so Willie, I'm gonna use it for you. Alfred Morris. You know what I'm saying?
Alfred Morris is better. I don't like I said. That felt a little hard for Zeke, man. I'm starting to feel bad for Zeke.
I don't, man, because I was trying to hold on, man.
Damn, man, he from the crib, man. STL's St. Louis
man,
finest, man. He from the crib, man. Get him in.
He's from the crib. He's from the crib. He doing his thing. But Willie Jack, you know what we do, man. We keep it real, and regardless of where you're from, you know what I'm saying. He was doing his thing. I still think he deserves a spot somewhere in this league. But you know, his time was up as a starter, man. He wasn't that 1,500 yard, 12 to 15 touchdown guy, that we thought he was going to be when he first stepped into the league. We thought he was going to be something crazy.
I know he gave us what we asked for them first 3 years. It was just, man, after the first 3, man, things changed. But
that was it. That was just it. You know what I'm saying? So you don't see that happening at the cornerback position, especially to the level that he played. Like he played this was, and I don't know if you've seen anybody better. I've never seen anybody better in their rookie season at cornerback. I've never seen he's the best cornerback I've ever seen as a rookie.
As a rookie, yeah.
My personal eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Jalen Ramsey wasn't the best corner in football his rookie year. He was damn good.
Sauce Gordon was
the best corner in football, man. I think it's hard to say otherwise. It really is.
Yeah, and like we said, he came in the league with that swag, man. Good size. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't the most athletic. He was a full forward guy. The crazy part, he don't even look fast when he be running. When he covering people, he don't even look fast.
I think he's a long guy. He strides. He's a longer guy.
Absolutely. Has the thing I think that makes Sauce so good is not only like him being a student of the game and some of his techniques, but I think he has great field awareness and a grasp of route concepts. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that can be in the middle of his route and he kind of can know just based off where you are on the field, what you're getting ready to do. You know what I'm saying? If you 12 yards, you know what I'm saying, outside the numbers, okay, you probably finna get ready to run this curl. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you about 10 to 15 yards in the slot. Okay, I see you got this other route over here. You probably getting ready to run a corner. Like he's great at anticipating routes in the midst of the play going on. And you watch him, and as he adjusts, he's well ahead of his years, and that's scary. It's scary to see a guy this young have the veteran savvy that he has right now in this league, and I think he's going to be special for years to come, man. Certain things you just have, you just got it. You know what I'm saying? You can't teach it, you just got it. So if he's one of the guys that just has it, he has it. That it factor that people talk about, he has it, and he's going to be good for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So just based off of that, man, I had to go with Sauce, man. Sauce is my number one guy.
And another thing about Sauce as well, man, is if you hear him like talk or speak in interviews or just random social media things or things like that, like he's definitely, and I even hate using this word now because it feels like just such an old word, but he's got obvious swag. You know what I'm saying? Like he's supremely confident, which is what that's just confidence is a requirement to play corner just as much.
Absolutely.
Just as much as speed, agility, quickness. You got to be confident. You've got to be confident. You've got to be arrogant to play. You really do. You know what I mean? But he's able to be like as confident, as brash as he is, came into this league, called himself Sauce. He was iced out with sauce on his chain at the draft. You know what I'm saying? Like these are things that can turn old media off or just turn people off. I'm like, man, who's this kid from Cincinnati? You know what I mean? Like he's found a way he hasn't like alienated or turned people off like with like these things that if Jalen Ramsey came in with a sauce chain, even though he was cold and we knew who he was, just about his personality or his temperament, or just when we see him, it just turns us off about his confidence, his arrogance, it just turns us off. Same thing like a Cam Newton. It's just something about his confidence turns us off. Sauce was just as loud and just as upfront about who he is and what I came to do, but I feel like we accepted it more, and that's just a credit to just him as a person. And then if you hear him talk, hear his story,
it's almost like humble swag. He got humble swag.
There you go. That's it. Man, took the words out of my mouth, bro. Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. If you actually hear him talk or hear him talk about his story, where he's from, like he talked about like the Ja Morant stuff, because he's from a hard neighborhood in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? From the rough neighborhoods of Detroit. And so he's a guy that's seen the other side of life, and he understands completely, like, man, I got a great opportunity. Man, I could get everybody in my family up out of here. I could, You know what I'm saying? So you hear him talking, and just like my dog Chop said, you realize, man, he's a very thoughtful, very humble dude, and he just gives me when I see him, like he just looks just very just comfortable in himself. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a credit to him. So definitely want to shout him out, man. That boy's a monster, man. And like I said, it's only going up, man. I just pray he stays healthy. Hope he stays healthy, man, and gives us 10, 12 years, man, of what he's giving us right now, and just see how these things shake out, man. So definitely a great young player, man. And I don't know how guys were hating on him when I think PFF list came out and had him number 1, and boys was like, Sauce number 1, and saying stuff that didn't matter. But he's a rookie. Well, okay, yeah, he's a rookie. I give you that sometimes. But some rookie MJ was MJ. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes guys are that good. Rookie Magic Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to hear about no other point guards in the league. When Magic Johnson got there, it was Magic Johnson's league. Don't tell me about nothing else. You know what I'm saying? That sometimes it be like that, man. And Sauce was that guy, man. He was the guy, man. And so I don't understand how people can argue the point. Right. If you're gonna argue for somebody, you can argue Patrick Surtain. But then even as you go deep, when you break down all the advanced metrics, all the advanced statistics and advanced numbers, etc., and then even that argument, you lose steam on that, man. I mean, he was a phenomenal player this year, man. So makes it for us.
So that's where I was, man. That's where I feel with it. Willie Jack, man, you got something else, man? You want to throw? Quick? I know we're a little bit over time, but you want to throw a quick honorable mention real quick, man?
Yeah, and I already kind of talked about it, man. Stephon Gilmore was a guy that just missed the cut, man. I wanted to get some of these young guys in here, so I went ahead and gave Tyreek Woolen that spot. Xavier Howard is a guy. I'm not as high on Xavier Howard, but he's a guy that, like I said, I just write out names, man. Xavier Howard is a guy. Tre'Davious White. I'm not as high on this guy as well, or as some folks are, but I'll tell you a guy who probably didn't deserve to be on this list for how he played last year, but a guy that I think has this type of ability that I'm assuming he's going to have a bounce back year. Denzel Ward, man, from the Browns. Denzel Ward is a guy that I really liked him coming out of Ohio State as well. He's a little leaner built, but he's right around 6 foot. He's probably a little light though, or I don't know what he is now, but he was probably closer to 180, 185, but had great quickness, great short area agility. Man, he had a lot of the traits that I've talked about, man, for all these guys that I like. So he has that sort of ability. Last year was a rough or a down year for just him and that team in general, but he's a guy that has the ability. He's flashed that potential and flashed that ability as well. And now if he can get back to the player that he was on track to be and find some type of consistency, he's a guy who is going to be a regular on these style lists, man, going forward, assuming he gets back on track.
For sure. And Denzel Ward was another guy I was thinking about, but even another guy who flashed a little bit too, flashed some skills, and I felt like could be really good. AJ Terrell, man. AJ Terrell, the cornerback over with Atlanta, he's another guy that flashed some ability, man, shows that he could be capable, of being a really good corner in this league, man. So, we'll see what he does this year, see if he can even have that bounce back or have the year that I felt like he was capable of. And he's another guy I like to mention. You know what I'm saying, in terms of this honorable mention of guys that we didn't name. We talked about the Marlon Humphrey, who didn't make my list. We talked about the Denzel Wards. You mentioned Tre'Davious White, those type of guys. But AJ Terrell, I feel like that's another guy that could be up there in that talk, in those talks.
No, for sure. It had an excellent year 2 years ago where he kind of hit the scene and made a name, was all pro or second team all pro. He was second team all pro to Trayvon Diggs. That's the year that Trayvon Diggs had them 11 picks. It was first team all pro. He was second team all pro, but was shut down that year. Last year, he took a step back. I think he was a little banged up as well last year. I don't know if he played all 17 games. I think he missed some games, but definitely looking to see this year, like my dog Chop said, if he can regain that form that he showed us in 2021, because he was another guy that I looked at as well. But like I said, so far you got one great year, and now you're coming off of a down year or a down year. So now I got to see how you look like this year going forward, and that's why he didn't make my list either.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and recap the list real quick, man, before we go ahead and close it on down.
Okay, bet. Well, I will start off with my number one. My number one cornerback, I had Sauce Gardner. Number 2, I had Patrick Surtain. Number 3, Jalen Ramsey. Number 4, J.C. Horn. Number 5, Tariq Woolen. 6, Trayvon Diggs. 7, Jair Alexander. 8, Stephon Gilmore. 9, Marshawn Lattimore. And number 10, Darius Slay. What is that? 10?
And for your dog, man, I also had Sauce at number 1, Pat Surtain Jr. number 2, Jair Alexander for me 3, Jalen Ramsey 4, Marshawn Lattimore 5, J.C. Horn 6, Marlon Humphrey 7, Trayvon Diggs 8, Darius Slay 9, and Tyreek Woolen 10 going into the 2023 season.
All right. Well, Willie Jack, man, you know what it is, man.
Hey,
That's
there we
all,
go.
man.
That's it. That's all. Hey, that's it. That's all.
We did our thing, dog.
Hey, for sure, that's right, man. Like my dog said, man, that's it. That's all, man. We came, we saw, we conquered, man. We had to do, we did what we set out to do, man. The top 10 cornerbacks going into 2023. You done heard it here first from your dogs, Chop Willie Jack, man. Man, hey, seen something you like, seen something you didn't like, man. Holler at us, man. We real active on that Facebook group as well, man. So great chats, great forum for debate in there, man. So make sure y'all check us out. Check us out in there as well, man. We get real busy, man. Like my dog Chop remind y'all, man. We definitely talk back, man. So you come in there talking crazy, man. Don't be surprised you see one of us get on your head, man. So definitely check us out right there. Also, man, we are on Instagram, we are on TikTok. We're not as we're getting more and more active on those forums as well, man. Y'all can thank my dog Chop for that, man. Salute to my brother. So, man, definitely check us out there as well. Let the film speak on all of those, man. That's Instagram, that's TikTok, and that's Facebook. Go ahead, bro.
I'm gonna put you on the spot right now, Willie Jack.
All right.
We're going back to the offense next week, man. What we doing?
We did quarterbacks first week, and then now we just did corners. Okay. You want to go? Is it time for receivers?
Might as well.
Is it time for receivers? The other side of the coin?
Might as well.
Hey, there it is. Then you heard my dog just said next week receivers. y'all already know who's at the top of the list, but I'll have 9 other names for y'all. Y'all can probably try to figure them out, man. So, hey, next week, man, next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, you know we're going to be right here cooking football flavor. Ain't going to have no watch talk. Ain't got nowhere else to be. Receivers will be the list, man, like my dog just said. Other than that, man, appreciate all the love, man. Shout out to the members that was in the building, man. Y'all know we got love for y'all. Appreciate y'all holding us down. Man, hey, other than that, man, y'all be safe, be smooth. We will see y'all next week, Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Come right back in here, kicking with your dogs. Till then, peace.
Peace.